Commissioner Bennett.
Present.
Commissioner Daniels.
Present.
Commissioner Sparza has asked to be excused, as has Commissioner Harrison. Commissioner Lewis. Commissioner Markowitz has also asked to be excused. Commissioner Russell.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Present.
And Commissioner Udabi.
Here.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, you have a quorum present.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next, we have the agenda. Do we have any amendments to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, there's none.
All right. As there are no amendments to the agenda, I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner
Support.
Daniels. Thank you for your second. Commissioner Russell, all in support of approving the agenda as presented, indicate so with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. In opposition, sign of nay. Thank you. The agenda has been approved. Next, we have the meeting minutes for November 21, 2024. Looking for a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Udabi. Do we have a second? Thank you, Commissioner Bennett. Excuse me. All in support of approving the meeting minutes for November 21, 2024, indicate so with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. In opposition, sign of nay. There are no nays. That approves the meeting minutes for November 21, 2024. Next, I will call the 5:15 public hearing. This is a request to consider the co-petitioners Lindra King and Herman Stacy in conjunction with the City Planning Commission to amend Article XVII, Section 50-1710, District Map Number 9 of the 2019 Detroit City Code, Chapter 50 zoning to show an SD1 Special Development Small-Scale Mixed-Use zoning classification where the R2 two-family residential district, R5 medium-density residential district, and R6 high-density residential district zoning classifications are shown for properties commonly known as 11534 Woodrow Wilson Avenue, also 1540, 1550, 1636 Lawrence Street, 1551 and 1537 Burlingame Street, generally bounded by Rosa Parks Boulevard to the east, bounded by Rosa Parks Boulevard, the east-west alley, first north of Lawrence Street, Woodrow Wilson Avenue, Burlingame Street, the John C. Lodge Freeway, and Lawrence Street. Mr. Jeffries, will you be helping us through this item this evening?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
All right, whenever you are ready, you can take this item away.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If we might do a round of introductions. My name, again, as you stated, is Kimani Jeffrey of the City Planning Commission staff.
My name is Woodrow Hankins, Jehovah Church of God.
My name is Leandra King, Detroit Farm and Cider.
And so, Mr. Chair,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Leandra King, Detroit Farm and Cider.
Julia's cousin, Detroit Farm and Cider.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, if it's okay, we'll get started.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Just wanted to note that this is a continued public hearing. You might recall at your last regularly scheduled meeting, we had to adjourn this and to
February 6th.
from February the 6th, and we adjourned it to a date and time, which is today at 5:15. So this is a continuance of that public hearing. I also do want to note that the law department is here. They may chime in if there's any particular questions. I'm not sure that they plan to speak, but I believe they're here just in case questions may arise. So this matter is related to the properties generally known as 1636 Lawrence and 1551 Burlingame. It also includes 11534 Woodrow Wilson, 1534, 1540, 1636 Lawrence Street, and then also 1551 and 1537 Burlingame. Just wanted to make sure we call out all of the addresses that are involved in this rezoning. This shows the current zoning classifications of these parcels. You'll see R6, you'll see R2, and R5. All of these parcels that are in the highlighted area are proposed to be rezoned to SD1, Special Development Mixed Use Small Scale. This is just a overview of those parcels, so you'll see the same parcels, that L-shaped configuration of parcels. This is what that looks like with the building footprints also highlighted. And so the current zoning classifications, R2 is the two-family residential district, R5 is a medium-density residential district, and R6, which currently lies on that site, is high-density residential district. All of these parcels that were just shown in those zoning classifications are proposed to change to an SD1 special development mixed-use district. It's generally designed to encourage complementary, small-scale pedestrian and transit-oriented uses that are compatible in a neighborhood setting. It's intended to ensure a neighborhood character and place a proper balance of activities within walking distance of one another, and also serve the day-to-day needs of the residents in proximity. Again, this is the site. This is just an aerial of the site as it exists today. And this is, I do want to note that there are 3 different petitioners. One petitioner is Ms. Leandra King. The other petitioner is Mr. Woodrow Hankins. Ms. Leandra King and also her husband. I don't want to neglect to mention him. And then also Mr. Woodrow Hankins. So there's 2 separate petitioners that will speak today, and then the third petitioner is the City Planning Commission staff. And the reason that we are co-petitioning, I believe you can see my cursor on the screen, but this area that I'm hovering over now, just south of the church building, east of Woodrow Wilson, this area, these parcels are owned by the land bank, and in an effort to create some zoning consistency, we are co-petitioning that if this proposal is to go forward, that this vacant grass area here would also be rezoned for parcels that the land bank owns. And so, again, 1636 Lawrence is the proposal of Detroit Farm and Cider. I'll give a quick overview, and then I want the petitioner to go a little more in depth in what they are proposing. I do want to note that this was recently in court. Some of that is currently still being resolved. We do have an opinion from the law department that although there's a portion of this that is in the court system, that we could still proceed with the rezoning. And we also paused this at the last public hearing and adjourned it to today, just to make sure that we were all on the same page. But that I do want to note that they did put something in writing that we could proceed, and I believe you all have that legal opinion that we can proceed with a rezoning request, and it's at the pleasure of this body if that request proceeds. We also want to note that there were some correction orders that were issued, and it's our understanding from talking to the petitioner that those things are in process to be rectified. There was recently an inspection done by the Buildings and Safety Department in which they came out, and I believe they're going to be issuing a report to the petitioner for just some of the things that need to be rectified, and so that they could pull permits. We look at this as an effort to change the zoning, also to come into conformance with what the city is asking for. So without some of these zoning changes, you can't pull permits for commercial uses because it's zoned residential. So this is an effort to also come into conformance with what the city is asking of the petitioner. So for that reason, that is why this is before you today. And so the petitioner is looking to create a hub for youth equestrian workshops, and also to host certain farm animals such as chickens, In the past they've done programming with local school districts, and they want to do that going into the future. Currently, they are closed. I believe that the petitioner would echo that. They are not in operation as
Period.
of
Look
now.
forward to seeing you tomorrow. Period.
Dr. Bulger, I think you might have to mute your device. But they're currently not in operation. They're looking to come into conformance with all city codes so that they may be able to operate legally. The animal portions of what they are proposing would be going on a separate track. As you all know, this honorable body recommended approval of the recent animal husbandry ordinance that did get approved by City Council, and it became effective on January the 31st. So that would be a separate track that would happen through the Buildings and Safety Department, that they would have to petition or for a special land use hearing at the Buildings Department, and then they could propose what animals that they would want to keep and those things. But we just want to note that that's the full vision. But for today, they are currently requesting a rezoning for 1636 Lawrence in order to permit retail sales for a farm and cider operation that would conduct cider pressing and farm-to-table dinners. It would also be supported by residential units and as well as bed and breakfast. The animal, as I said, the animal keeping components would be separate from this proposal. So with that being said, through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to pass the floor to the petitioner just to take us a little bit deeper into what the vision is and what they are proposing and what they want to achieve with this rezoning.
Okay, thank you. Whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name is Leandra King. I'm the owner of Detroit Farm and Cider. Our program hosts a slew of different sub-programs. So we have our 4-H programming, which is our equestrian immersion workshop, where we have youth on the farm, and we teach them how to care for horses and livestock, as well as we do cognitive behavioral therapy through equestrian care. In the past, we've hosted field trips with DPSCD, Allen Park Public Schools. We've also hosted field trips with smaller youth programming through Wayne County. We've had farm-to-table dinners. The bulk of what we do is feeding our community, though. So through the Easter Market box program, as well as our previous CSA program, we've been able to feed over 600 families throughout District 5 every year. So this will just help us to further generate revenue to support some of the free programming through our nonprofit, as well as continue to flourish with what we're currently doing. And like Mr. Jeffrey said, we're currently closed via the difficulties or the permitting concerns that the city had. So we're just looking to be in compliance and reopen.
Okay, thank you. Quick question of staff before we hand it to my fellow commissioners. Do we include horses in the animal husbandry, or how does that relate to just ordinance-wise?
Yes, that's a good question, Mr. Chair. So the general provisions for the animal husbandry ordinance allow chickens, ducks, and honeybees. So in your typical backyard or smaller areas, those are the general animals that you will be able to keep. However, there is a special clause in the ordinance. Those are allowed on a by right basis as an accessory use. But there is a clause in the ordinance that allows for a conditional use for other animals that may be proposed, and that's only for nonprofits and 4-H programs. So it's not open to just anybody, but if you're nonprofit, 4-H program, you're offering educational services for the community and things like that, then you would be able to have other animals outside of the scope of the general ordinance. And so that has to be reviewed by Animal Care Control the Buildings Department and Planning and Development, and it has a public hearing at the Buildings Department.
Okay, thank you. And will the applicant be required to comply with the quantity requirements we outlined in the animal husbandry ordinance?
So, as a part of that, just as it's an exception clause for species, it's also an exception clause for quantities. So, ultimately, as opposed to the general requirements for, the accessory use, there's a set number, set species, everything is already set. For this, it's more lenient because there's a higher intensity and level of review, and a public hearing is required, which is not required for the general provisions of that ordinance.
Because the applicant is a nonprofit or 4-H,
That's correct.
that's the criteria that's allowing this to happen?
Yes, so it cuts it down for who can propose those, well, I'll just leave it at that. I won't go into.
Okay, yep, I'm following. Okay, that answers my question. Commissioners? Go ahead.
There was some still left for this presentation. If
There's more presentation left?
yeah,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Yeah, well, let's do your question. Say it again. Yep, go right ahead.
Mr. Chair, Chairman, just wanted to disclose that I have Julia's cousin, who's one of the petitioners, a business relationship that doesn't involve this property. These properties are farm and cider, but just want to disclose that. And it's not a active business relationship at the moment.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. You have a question? Any other questions before we continue the presentation? Okay, Director Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just to acknowledge Commissioner Bennett's disclosure, he has made public disclosure, no pecuniary interest as it concerns this proposal, so there is no conflict of interest. But in order to also be in compliance with the ethics ordinance, he'll also be required to fill out a Board of Ethics relationship disclosure form. So we'll provide that to the commissioner subsequently.
Okay, thank you. And you may continue with your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you want to just give a brief overview of the site plan.
So we plan on, we're working with the Amish builders in northern Michigan, where we plan on having some turnkey prefab tiny lodging units for bed and breakfast. It's a pretty simple site plan. We just plan on, they're under 200 square feet each, and we plan on having them on the farm for individuals who are either interning through partnerships we have with universities and want to stay on site, or to pay to assist with additional revenue through the farm. Am I missing anything?
Yep, I just had the
Aside
visual.
from the 50 other I'm going to say.
Okay. That covers it.
Okay, cool.
And if commissioners have questions, they can ask later. And then if you could just speak to the support from community
Oh,
engagement.
yes, sorry. So we have been at our location since 2018, and our neighbors, all of our neighbors support us. We have never received a complaint or a concern from any of the surrounding neighbors. My mentor is Reverend Faith Fowler, and she is the founder of Cass Community Social Services, which has the Tiny House Project. They own about 75% of the property within a 2-mile radius of us. All of our neighbors if they have 48206 on their license or their ID, they receive free produce, whatever we're growing or we have on the farm, and for that season or for that week, our neighbors have free access to. So, and that's been that way for years. This is just a letter of support from all of our surrounding neighbors as well as businesses. And then I think there's another separate letter of support from Reverend Fowler.
And through the chair, we'll submit that tonight to make sure everyone has it.
Okay.
Can you also, next time when it comes back, share the site
Yes,
plan?
Oh, the site plan, yes. And that is it for this, for Detroit Farm and Cider. And through you, Mr. Chair, if we might proceed to Jehovah Shalom Church, Mr. Woodrow Hankins, or would you like to pause there?
We can. I just have one question about the residential uses. Are those permitted in SD1?
Those are permitted in SD1, and that I believe is the subject of some of the corrective orders, just coming into compliance and pulling permits for some of the components of those residential units. So, yes.
But from a planning and zoning, it's not a problem to have those there.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. That was my only question. And so you can proceed. And if you could also just clarify, I guess, the relationship of this with everything else.
Yes. So, through the chair to the commission, there is no relationship between the two petitioners. It just so happens that we've been talking to Ms. King for probably about a year. We sort of hit the brakes once, some of the court action took place. And so in that time, we also got a petition from Mr. Hankins more recently. And so as not to, separate these, they're in proximity, also trying to unify zoning. We thought that it would be best if we could bring them forth jointly and hear them at the same time. So I believe they've met, through this ordeal of going through the petitioning process. I believe they've just recently met. And so now they're in conversations about, how the projects relate and things of that nature. But these are two separate projects.
Okay. Separate projects. They're just petitioning together at the same
Correct.
time. Okay. No problem. Yeah. Go ahead, Commissioner Udabi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for giving the presentation so far. I'm really curious, Ms. King, what got you into this line of work and what inspired you to start this? Yeah.
All of it. I had a crappy childhood, and nature's healing, and someone slapped me on a horse, and it made me feel better. So, there you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Whenever you're ready, Herman.
Now, my name is Woodrow Hankins, conveniently with Woodrow Wilson here. Dr. Herman is our bishop.
Sorry.
Jehovah. Oh, no problem. And like Mr. Kamani said, well, first of all, thank you all for having this meeting. Like he said, we're just interested in, right now, we're residential at our site for our church, but we would really like the opportunity to expand into areas that may just help us with generation of revenue, but also expanding the edict to serve the community. And so we just felt like some of these areas that I'm just going to mention here would help us in that. And we saw that a lot of several other church properties in the area had a little bit more of a business zoning than ours, which was zoned residential. And so we wanted to, get to that point to be able to do some of these things. So, like for instance, be able to sell media, have a book, basically a bookstore, a book and media store, or a coffee shop, or have use it as a rental hall for like graduation, open houses, and things, and celebrations and things like that. And like I said, nursery. So we too had support from our local community, a few of which go to our church, or went, because one of our people are kind of homebound right now, but we have support from, again, I have Erica George from Cass Community, and of course, Miss Leandra here, and like I said, several other people in the area. That's pretty much it. Oh, I'm sorry. And we would not go out. We're not looking to go outside of the boundary of our facility. Just remain in the facility on the property.
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Daniels?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one question about parking. Is there ample parking in that area to accommodate the cider mill?
So the lot of
Yes, do you?
the lot that is adjacent to myself and Mr. Woodrow is what we're going to petition the land bank and see if we can either get it discounted because it's priced at 75,000 for some reason. I don't know why, but where our goal is to use that lot that is adjacent as for parking. And my civil engineer husband here is going to figure that out for me if we can make that happen. So
Is that the only parking currently, or the street parking, or what do you have so far?
for us, if you could see, I don't know if you could see on Lawrence Street where those two driveway entrances are, on the southern side of the street. Right there, when you come in, between those two driveway entrances is where we historically have had patrons park. Also, I guess, and for lack of better words, on the L, where Woodrow Wilson, where you see those trees, that brush, we've used that for parking as well. But I don't like doing that because it's not good for our soil. So we would ideally take that empty lot that the land bank owns and maybe replace it with gravel or whatever he thinks is advantageous and have people park over there.
Well, I guess one more question. How many residential small 200 square foot units are you going to be putting in?
Phase one, which would be done this year, we're looking at 6 total. But when I'm done, I would like to have 20 on the property.
Okay. You actually make the cider at the location?
Not for the first year. So this year is going to be focused on our youth programming and lodging. Next year, we're going to focus more on the cider selling. And then the year after that, we'll be focusing on cider pressing. Reason being is cider presses are expensive and everything is really expensive right now. We have a partnership that we formed with Blake Cider, and they're willing to allow us to resell their cider next year, or whenever we decide to start doing that. So we're just trying to take it in baby steps.
So are they going to allow you to put your label on the stick? So they're going to press it for you, you put your label on it, or you're going to just carry Blake cider?
We're just going to carry Blake Cider probably for the first year until we gather our bearings and get our big girl feet together. So
Okay. All right. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
There's also a lot of permitting and there are a lot of loops associated with processed cider. So what's the word I'm looking for?
Food safety requirements.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry.
Okay. Commissioner Russell and Commissioner Bennett.
Thank you, Chair. Hey, I'm just curious. I pulled up your website. There's nice pictures, and there's a video on here that shows it looks like about 1,000 people all sitting down eating at one time. Where was that?
In one of our greenhouses, we have an aquaponics system. In one of our greenhouses, it has this big, beautiful waterfall, and we have fish in the bottom of the aquaponics system that provide natural fertilizer for the plants that we grow on the second and the third tiers. And so we hosted a slew of fundraiser dinners and other events in that greenhouse, which is a big draw to the community and outside of our community as well.
So there's it looked like a snaking table.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
sitting down. Was that actually on the site that you had that?
Yeah, so we're roughly 5 acres of land, and I've been told I know how to maximize space. So that's in one of the greenhouses, and then we've also had our dining table literally snaked throughout our orchard. With we have 2 acres, roughly 2 acres is the orchard. You could see all the trees.
This space.
Yes. Well, that's one of the dinners that we had. We had 300 patrons come to that. That was throughout outstanding in the field. They travel across the country and outside of the country as well, and they support local farms and host their dinners all over.
And then, so you all have an orchard there?
Yeah.
You have how many fruit trees?
130.
130? And
Yeah.
then, so there was
Soon to be 125 because some of them aren't doing that well. So
so you had people come and pick these
yeah.
fruit, and that still goes on?
Everything that we're doing right now is non-for-profit. So if, like last year, we were still feeding the community, but we have steered away from for-profit activities because of the legal issues that we've been having. So we just want to do everything the right way. But now we're broke and we want to make some money. So.
I got a couple more questions, and for Mr. Jeffries, and one, and I'm sure you probably said it, but I wasn't sure. What's the church's current zoning?
So the zoning for the church is R2.
R2, and it's going to SD1.
That's the
everything.
That's
Okay.
proposed. Yes.
Right, and then when I read the description of SD1, it talks about lessening the parking requirement, and that there's and encourages a neighborhood parking plan, which I wouldn't think would be on the applicants, but is the city looking at that area and proposing a parking strategy?
Through the chair, in my discussions, the city is not looking at the area for a parking strategy. However, the petitioners and the meetings that we've coordinated as staff that they've been in, they've begun discussions about a potential shared parking. That remains to see how far that will go, but there has been some very high level discussion about potential shared parking for those two sites.
And then all these things in SD1, because I know we had R6, was that, and once again, I apologize. Where was the R6?
So the R6 is the Detroit Farm and Cider site.
The whole.
Yes, which is on the screen.
Right. And what was the height that they could have in R6?
That, I could get you that shortly. I would have to look that up in the ordinance.
And so the city's proposing or SD1 in that area, so that and that matches up. We're not looking to put a lot of density in this one area. Is that I'm probably asking it backwards.
Could you rephrase that question a little bit?
So when I think of some place R6, I think there's some zoning along the riverfront that's R6, and when I hear it in my layman terms, I'm thinking high rise, whole lot of people in a small space, and I'm just saying we're moving away from that, and does that coincide with the city's future plans?
Through the chair.
Can you give me 1 sec, Mr. Jeffries? I just want to acknowledge and call the 6 p.m. public hearing and then recess the 6 o'clock public hearing to the call of the chair. And then recall the 5:15 public hearing. You can carry on, Mr. Jeffries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That is a great question, Commissioner Russell. I would say that what we find a lot of times is that community proposals or the vision of certain stakeholders in the community sometimes is ahead of where the city is sometimes. And sometimes that helps guide, planning studies and things like that is, a lot of the input is taken from community. And I say that to say the city hasn't had a planning study in this area. However, we have consulted with the Planning and Development Department. They have provided a letter to say that this is generally consistent with the master plan. Generally consistent. I wouldn't say that a rezoning from R6 to SD1 reduces the intensity of scale that's allowed. You could get higher, about the same or close to the same heights in SD1 that you could achieve with R6. So I wouldn't say it's lowering the intensity. The biggest change is probably the addition of some commercial uses that are permitted in SD1. If you recall, we had a recent rezoning for Oakland Avenue Urban Farm, and while SD1 isn't the most desired zoning district for this situation, it is what we have in our limited arsenal of tools in the zoning ordinance today. That's why we believe Zone Detroit will help to give us more tools to address some of these productive farming type operations, urban agriculture type operations, where we don't have to necessarily rezone to the mixed use districts, but we might be able to retain residential zoning, but have districts that remain residential but allow more productive uses within the parameters of those districts. That makes sense. So
Yes.
okay, so I'll leave it there because I could go on for a long time about that, but I think that it sounds like an answer.
And I probably should have just asked, does this, if this move forward, does it match what's on the master plan? And you said that planning and
I would say
concurred with.
I would say it's not apples to apples, but the policy that we've had, a longstanding policy that we've had, is that if it doesn't change a broad swath of land in the area, then it could be considered generally consistent because it's not going to have a major impact on an entire neighborhood.
And for some reason, it seemed strange to me that that piece of property would be zoned R6. It didn't really seem to fit. And just to me, SD1 seems to fit that neighborhood, like Midtown and that, and can really revitalize the area. So that fits, but I didn't know the history of why that was zoning. That's why I asked. The other thing is that there's some other farms in the city, probably, in my opinion, far too few, right? And that what I've noticed with some of them is that they need assistance with planning of their space. And I didn't know, does the city have those type of services either through our glorious CPC or with planning and development, if they have, where they could interview a good corporate citizen and then help assist with laying out and planning for their future uses. Is there something like that available?
All right. Through the chair, I would say that while there might not be a sort of strategic planning effort for specific areas at all times, many times we receive people that come into our offices that we help on a case-by-case basis for, they may have a small number of parcels that they're looking to do something with. Mm-hmm. Staff is always willing to, help through efforts like this, rezoning. Sometimes, other departments may be able to help. We have a land-based projects team that currently meets, and we meet with people that are trying to do more productive uses and may not know how to achieve what they're looking to do. So we have a team that meets with people in the ag community and people that are just trying to do something creative with their lots. And that includes BSEED, our office, the Office of Urban Ag, and other offices, PDD. So there are outlets for people with smaller projects that may not be within the planning study area.
How do you sign up for that?
So we actually just had for that particular group, we just had office hours today. And so we have monthly office hours where we meet with constituents. So you could go to the land-based projects website, and that's hosted by BC. And you can see the times for that and come to a session, and you got all of the departments that are there to help you and help chart a path forward for you for those type of projects.
Just a couple more. So, do we know what neighborhood organizations are here in this area, other than the two that are here before us today?
I believe Cass Community Services is probably one of the bigger ones. Would you guys know any other?
Job Corps, not as much organization, sorry, Job Corps is an organization that is adjacent in our area to CAS Community Social Services. And then it serves to mention that CAS Community Social Services also works in partnership with many other organizations as well.
So, Mr. Jeffries, so like if 3 or 4 neighborhood organizations came to City Planning Commission and said, you know, we want to develop a plan for our area, what would happen?
Through the chair, that's more of a question for the administration. For if you're speaking to the official planning studies led by the mayor and his planning and development department, but I will say, from my humble opinion, I have seen some planning efforts sort of initiate in that fashion. I think at one point the North End planning study was not contemplated by the administration, but because there was so much.
Fitzgerald, would that have been one? Started out like.
Not sure how that one initiated, but you know, in some of the things that I've seen over the years, some of the energy from the community has led to certain efforts and studies. Midwest Tireman, that I believe a lot of that energy came for that. The initiation of that started with the rezoning that this honorable body approved, where we were downzoning to stop some of the industrial activity, the auto-related uses. There were like 36 auto-related uses in a very small proximity. And then from that effort, that community, the Joe Louis Greenway, there was a lot of synergy there.
How far is the Greenway from here?
I could pull that up on the map. Not sure exactly, but I could pull it up on the map and get you an answer before we.
Okay. So the benefits of a plan like that would be what?
The benefits of a planning study?
Yeah.
Plan. I think the benefits of that study is it just allows people to know where investment is planned in the community.
Would it encourage investment and support?
I definitely think so. The city generally couples that with their strategic neighborhoods and the funds that go along with that. People, I think it gives people some idea of what's happening in the area, where they should invest, where infrastructure is going to go. So it can give people some certainty or an idea of what the future is for particular areas, which gives them more confidence when they're making decisions on where to locate, where to live, where to invest.
Because this is because what else is not far from here? The congregation is not far from here, right? And you know, these sort of activities are, you know, things that I would think the city would want to promote, you know, and help to prosper. right? And if there was, you know, a, you know, it would just be a piece of paper, basically, you know, so things could change, but the laying out of a plan might help generate a lot of things and get a lot of people on the same, and bring resources to people who are trying to do good and creative things, you know, so I don't know if we could make a request that somehow that gets started for that area. Wouldn't hold anybody up, but just in the future would help them out.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something we can do?
Through the chair, I think if that is this honorable body's intent, it may be good to put that in writing. And I think that may go a long way as we can convey it to the appropriate departments and the administration.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner Russell. Commissioner Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My questions are primarily concerning the petitioner at 1551 Burlingame, Jehovah Shalom Church of God. Does the church currently have dedicated parking?
Right now, we park basically both on the street and also, even though it's not our property, the vacant property that's across the street,
Okay.
directly across the street.
Okay.
It's owned by Land Bank,
Okay.
or one of them is.
So with the proposed potential uses, these are all just currently ideas, or is there a plan for any of the specific uses that have been mentioned?
So they are both ideas, and also there's a plan, especially for our low-hanging fruit of book and content, like basically bookstore.
Okay.
And you know, in coffee shop, we do have a few good members who are like educators in the city that have developed like schools, and so that would be in the planning stage.
Okay. So I guess my one concern is if you have schooling and then with potentially a rental hall, you could be looking. I'm not sure what the size of your congregation is, but are you looking at a large influx of traffic at times?
I think that not really. Not looking for a large influx. It's tough to say. I would not expect that we have a lot.
Okay.
So
My question, especially with if a rental hall, I don't know. I mean, it looks to be a decent sized building, so the size of events that might be held.
right, and it wouldn't. Well, about like between 50 and like 100. Like what sometimes when we have like concerts and stuff, it's that amount of people anyway.
Okay.
But what was I going to say? It just would not be that large, not large like some of the other places down the street.
Okay.
And in terms of a rental hall, it would be, you know, still consistent with like our church ministry. It would not be loud and you know, bunches of people.
Okay.
That's our plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Only church parishioners as well, and so
Okay.
because still they have different events that they need space for.
Okay.
It would be, the event hall would be for the church, or would the public be able to rent it from the church?
Well, the public would be able to rent it from the church and stuff, but
Okay. Commissioner Udabi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a question for you about the church. Maybe this is bouncing off of Commissioner Bennett's question, but I see that you want to do potentially a child care center, school, bookstore, coffee shop, counseling space, gallery, rental hall. And I'm, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
And I'm curious, are you going to be rebuilding any parts of the church building? Will this happen already inside the building? How many of these things are just like fun ideas, and how many are like actual plans that you want to do? I'm curious how this can fit all in your like property space.
Yeah. So there are ideas, but in terms of like I said earlier, there is some build out involved because we are looking to do our bookstore immediate, for content selling bookstores, and so. So there's no drawings, nothing. We don't have any architectural plans yet, but they would all still be in that building because we need to rehab our building anyway, to be honest. And so I'm not sure if I answered your question, but kind of both ways in terms of plans to do some building inside, but there are just ideas as well to an extent. So.
Okay, got it. So y'all are being creative about what you could put in this building. These
Right.
are some options, and they would all be encapsulated under an SD1 district.
Yes. We saw some of the other, like I said earlier, some churches were B4. I think that's the category I saw.
Mm-hmm.
We saw, and we just wanted to be consistent and have that opportunity to be creative with some of our ideas that we think would actually support some of Ms. Leandra's activities as well.
Yeah, thanks for explaining that to me. I have a question now for Mr. Jeffries. Because it would be SD1, if I'm not mistaken, does that mean that these folks would have to come back and present to us if they make any changes to their buildings?
Through the chair, they would not have to come back, if this were to be approved, they wouldn't have to come back before this honorable body, but they would have to, for some uses, go to the Buildings and Safety Department for a public hearing. At that time, parking would also be required. So whatever the proposed uses are, say if they only decide to do 2 of these uses, then there's associated parking, accessory parking that's required that they would have to create, or if not, if they don't develop the parking for those uses, they would have to then go to the BZA, Board of Zoning Appeals, to request a variance to say why, make a rational case of why they don't need it or why that number should be lowered.
Okay, so thank you. So to be clear, they don't need to come back to us anymore about what they do.
That's correct.
Or end up doing on their property.
That's correct.
Excellent. Thank you for explaining that. And then my final question for you is, was there any consideration for the lot north of the church that's owned by the land bank to also be looped in with this SD1?
There was some consideration. We didn't go that far. The rationale for the additional lots was mainly because it's sort of in between both projects and to create that consistency. We did consider that, but we ended up leaving that out. More so just not to impede upon the entity to the north or to that's connected to that lot, because that could potentially create some sort of conflict, and we hadn't had time to engage with them, so that was it could have been included, but that was some of the thought process and why we didn't include it.
Okay, thank you all so much. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Dobby. And I do want to acknowledge and welcome Commissioner Lewis. Thank you. Commissioner Daniels.
Yeah, actually, I have one quick question. As it relates to the cider mill, you're going to have farm animals, correct?
Yes.
Do you have any currently?
No.
No chickens?
No.
Okay, that's a good way to raise money right now.
Oh, yeah. I know.
All right. Thank you.
Only if they're cage free, though. If they're not cage free, I'm messing with you. All right. Any other questions? All right. I see no other questions. This is a public hearing, so we will go forward with the public hearing portion of this item. As our custom for public hearings, we allow the public to participate if you are here in person or attending virtually. If you are here in person, we acknowledge you by receiving a public comment card. If you have not got a public comment card to the front, then I will assume you do not want to speak on this item. And if you are participating virtually and you want to participate in the public hearing, you can indicate your desire to do so by raising your hand in the Zoom platform, and we will move you over to be heard. We'll start virtually today. Who's helping me out today?
Mr. Chair, I can help you out with.
All right. Got you.
Mr. Chair, I see one speaker,
Okay.
Lorraine Grady.
All right. Let's move Lorraine over.
Lorraine.
I'm here.
Okay.
Hi, Lorraine. Good afternoon. Whenever you're ready, you have
Hi,
2
hi.
minutes.
Okay, I am, attending this virtual meeting to support the Detroit Farm Insider. I am a Detroiter with a family, and we have participated on the farm, and it has been so enlightening. It brought, with kids and all the social media, it's such a blessing for them to put their phones down and be with family and learn how to plant things and, grow, watch things grow. It's amazing. So I am all for it, and I just want to let you guys know that I'm here to support.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we have no further hands.
Okay.
I don't know if we have anyone in person.
I believe I believe the cards I have here are all around Davison and Waverly, which I think are the second item. So, is there anyone who did get a card to the front that I'm just not realizing is for this item? All right, I do not see any, so we will go and close the public hearing for this item. And I think that concludes all the business related to the 515 public hearing. Mr. Jeffries, can you kind of just give us a high-level next steps and what we can expect for this item?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We'll continue working with the petitioners. Also, we'll be talking to the law department just to circle back with them. They are on the line. I don't know if Attorney Curley Pinkins wanted to say anything, but just wanted to make sure that it's noted that the law department is on the line. Otherwise, we will work with them before we bring this item back, just to make sure we're all on the same page. It's my understanding that those corrective orders are going forward, and I believe just some items that need to be corrected will be provided to the petitioner of Detroit Farmers Cider. And as long as everybody's on the same page, we'll look to come back for potential action at a further date.
Okay. Oh, yeah, if you want to bring her on, she wants to provide comments. You want to promote her?
She's in.
Yeah, she's free to speak.
Through the chair to Attorney Alexis Pinkins, do you have anything to add? Obviously, there she is.
Good evening, commissioners. I really don't have any much to add. I think Mr. Jeffries addressed the law department's perspective. We will be keeping Mr. Jeffries aware of the proceedings in the civil matter, and we're hopefully, as Ms. Leandra King mentioned, come to some kind of resolution where the property comes into compliance.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lewis, I'm sorry, Russell, you had a comment?
Yeah, I guess it's that. Thank you, Chair. More of a request. And I need some help in wording this properly, but and I guess all the commissioners would have to want this, but if we could start the ball rolling and ask staff to for this area start a planning process. And I don't know who we would write it to, exactly what the verbiage would be, but, separate from this rezoning, that we could start a planning process that would incorporate the groups in that neighborhood and do some charrettes with those people and start trying to enhance that neighborhood and bring the city's resources to help in that effort.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, through you to Commissioner Russell, I think we'd be happy to do that and maybe take the opportunity to do some initial sort of put some feelers out. I guess I'll put it that way, maybe in and around this project. But I think what would be good is not to usurp or to compete with what we're doing with Plan Detroit. We see if we can do that as part and parcel of the outreach that is being done with regard to the master plan. And then maybe follow that up with a deeper dive to the extent that we can coordinate those efforts with the Planning and Development Department. I wouldn't want us to get out in front of the master plan, but do the best that we can to run parallel to those efforts.
Through the chair, that sounds great, and that, but mine, and not to compete with the master plan or step on anybody's toes, in the letter would be asked that an effort start there and that, and it might not be immediate, but where, and you all gave some examples of planning efforts where at the end of the day, that's an extension to the Greenway. I'm just making up stuff, or whatever it is, or here's where the city is looking for people to park in this neighborhood, and those sort of things, and that would help in the revitalization of that neighborhood. And I don't know who we would write that to, and we don't want to compete with anybody, but we want to announce that we see there's a need there, if everybody thinks that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, or Mr. Russell, we would be happy to do that, and certainly if that is just at the direction of the chair, or if you did want to do a motion to direct staff to at least begin a cursory effort, if you will, and then we can figure out what works best based upon whatever response we get from the existing community groups in the area, and also, again, from our colleagues at the Planning and Development Department.
And if I may, through the direction of the chair, can we do two things? Can we, do that precursory kind of planning to see if that's something we can do in that area? But also, I'm wondering if it is being thought about in the master plan. And I know the last time Ms. Kanoki was here, she said there might be a workshop or something coming up soon. And maybe if there's an opportunity within that space where we can have some conversations about just areas in general that may benefit from this type of planning study. Because I know we have the strategic areas, and those are good and dandy, but there may be other areas, because that was almost 10 years ago. Maybe there may be other areas that we can uncover through that workshop process with the master plan.
Right, and through and to you, Mr. Chair, that is the sort of catch-all approach that this master plan is taking, to really focus in on those areas that have not been recipients of the strategic planning, the neighborhood plans, and to do the deeper dive. I'll turn it over to Mr. Jeffrey for any additional clarity on this, but I do believe that they are intending to go back out and hit spots in each district. So that's where I think it would be good for us to, look to do something concurrent with that effort, so that we can, get the most efficient use of the efforts, and again, not have things that are competing.
Yeah, through the chair, or to the chair, and also to Commissioner Russell. From our conversations, and I don't believe that it was solidified, but there was conversation about how Plan Detroit could supplement the planning studies, so that areas that had not received that sort of attention could be could be reached out to, and that gap be filled through the Plan Detroit effort. So I think we're on the same page, and we can revisit that conversation to make sure that that is still the case, and we can specifically bring out this area as one of those to pay attention to and to see how we can use our efforts to focus on this particular area.
Okay. Thank you for that. And then just to add on, and this really isn't a question, more of a comment. I'm just curious to kind of where that line is. Will we? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I think we may have lost our feed.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Okay, I'm sorry if I may. Mr. Royster, are we okay? I'm sorry, if you would call a brief pause, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. I'll just recess the meeting to the caller chair.
Okay, I think we're all right.
Okay. So we will resume the meeting. 6:42. So the question was, and it's not even a question, more of a statement. I'm just curious to where that line is from neighborhood strategic areas, and when we do enough neighborhood areas, we're really just doing the whole city. I'm just curious to where that line is when we get into that conversation, because I know there's in NSP 1, NSP 2. Is there 3? Did 3 make it out yet? But I
think, Mr. Chair, I think you're right. I'm blanking on those. That's some old maps I'm gonna have to dig.
Yeah, old map. So yeah, I know if we, eventually we keep adding areas, and you look at the map and you did most of the city, right? So I'm just curious where that line is, where it's like, okay, now we might as well just look at the city again as a whole from a neighborhood framework standpoint, or do we just keep doing these kind of neighborhoods piecemeal, and that gets us there?
And again, to that point, as Mr. Jeffrey and I stated earlier, the neighborhood frameworks were, again, a bit of a outgrowth of our efforts to come out of bankruptcy, where we were not doing just traditional planning, but we were looking to do planning that could result in immediate development in certain areas. So it was targeting areas that had certain growth potential, certain interests, certain activities that were already going on. I believe that going forward, we really are looking to move back to the more traditional approach, which is why the master plan has been spearheaded. Obviously, with Mayor Duggan not seeking office again, we will be under the leadership of a new mayor and the direction that he or she takes, and that will be an opportunity for us to see if we will, again, continue in a more traditional master plan approach to these things with some maybe one-off planning studies that may be done with particular goals in mind for a given geographic area or some other policy initiative. But again, I think that for now, what we can do, to your very point, is we'll try to dig up those older maps, but we can show you the framework map and essentially what was presented, I think actually was presented to the commission quite a while ago, but presented to City Council. So you can see the areas that do have something that you can see the mapping where frameworks and neighborhood studies have been done, and you can see the remainder of the city, if you will, that the master plan is intended to cover, while it also incorporates those neighborhood planning and strategic planning studies that have been done.
Thank you. All right. I see no other questions or comments, so I think we can go ahead and close this item up. Thank you for coming this evening. We appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. It is 6:45, so I will call back the 6 p.m. public hearing. This is to consider the request of Tina Castleberry to amend Article XVII Section 501760, Detroit Map Number 58 of the 2019 Detroit City Code, Chapter 50 Zoning, to show a B2 local business and residential zoning classification, where a R3 low-density residential zoning classification is currently shown at 4213 and 4225 West Davison Avenue. generally bounded by West Davidson Avenue to the north, Potowski Avenue to the east, Waverly Avenue to the north, and Broad Street Avenue to the west. Ms. Sweat, will you be supporting us this evening with this item?
Mr. Chair, I will, and our petitioners are walking in just now.
Okay, whenever they're ready, they can either join a seat next to you or sit at the back space wherever they feel comfortable.
And Mr. Chair, once the slideshow presentation is finished, the person that's going over the slides is going to switch back with one of the architects.
Okay, not a problem. And if the applicants, if you want, you can sit in the front here if that's where you feel comfortable. If I ain't gonna make you sit there if you don't want to. No, I don't bite, I promise. All right, whenever you're
Mr.
ready.
Chair, can I share my screen?
Yes, you may.
I need to be promoted. And Mr. Chair, while we're doing that, if we could do a round of introductions. Timmery Swed, CPC staff.
I'm Maya Castleberry.
Oh, you got it.
Maya Castleberry. Tina Castleberry.
My name is David Barduca.
You could do it again, the mic's not on.
The mic's not on?
It's on now.
For Ms. Castleberry.
David Barduca.
And Tina Castleberry.
Thank you, welcome.
And we do have our other participants sitting behind us as well.
Yeah, Robert Ross.
Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioners. So this rezoning is for the Garden Bug located at 4225 and 4213 West Davison. And that is located in District 7, close to the border of District 2. And here you can see just a satellite, an aerial image, but I'm noticing that there's an issue with that. I do apologize. I've been having issues with one of the applications on my computer. But some background on this request. Ms. Castleberry has petitioned to rezone from R3 to B2. Initially, the petition was for B4, but after staff consideration, B2 is now being requested. And this request is being made to permit the legal operation of an existing seasonal outdoor garden center. The zoning map here with our current zoning shows it is low-density residential right now, the R3. And you can see it's primarily surrounded by residential with business along Livernois, and there's a planned development just to the east of the site, and that is a religious use site. You can see here the bordering streets are West Davison, Waverly to the south, Petoskey to the east, and Broad Street, which is off this map, to the west. I have a site plan here. I believe this is the most recent site plan, and you can see the markups along there, and petitioners, you should have this as well in print, but this is markups made by city departments with some comments on things that need to be addressed or completed. As you can see, West Davison does not actually have parking on it, so that's something I'm sure you notice right away. And we can always come back to this. The petitioners also have another site plan as well. Just some images of the site. This is the entrance for the site on West Davison. And the existing building here, it is a single-family home that's being renovated to be used as part of this business. I will let Ms. Castleberry speak more to what the the building will be used for, but it is for use by employees as opposed to part of the actual business transactions. This view is from the alley looking towards Davison. There is a active alley that runs along the site that you will also see. Oh, nope, not this picture. And this is again on West Davison. This view is from Petoskey and West Davison. Looking towards the alley, you can see the building in there as well. And this is obviously one of the off seasons in this photo. And this is the alley itself. And you can see it's not improved. That's already in discussion as well. And again, a view from the alley.
Who's responsible for improving the alley?
That would be the petitioner if it's required as part of the site plan, I believe, correct, Director Todd? Yes, that is to be determined.
Through the chair, I'm sorry, just very, very quickly. As Ms. Webb is indicating, we do have a representative on from Building and Safety Engineering that can speak more to it. Typically in situations like this, if the alley is not being vacated, DPW in conjunction with BC will make certain requirements for improvements, whether it is to paving, making repairs, and doing so to city standards in order to ensure that the alley can service the intended use associated with the proposed property, but then also continue to serve the other property owners, in this case, the residential properties to the east. So there may, in fact, be some requirements that the petitioner will have to bear.
Okay. Thank you. Apologies for cutting you off.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you can see, the future land use map here does show this as low to medium density residential, with low density residential just west along the same block face there, and neighborhood business along Livernois. And I received today the master plan interpretation for this. I saw it shortly before the hearing. And the subject parcels have been found by P&DD, or the rezoning of them has been found by P&DD to be generally consistent with the master plan's designation. They do believe that it will have little impact on the traffic along West Davison because of the size of the development and the type of business. As for community input, and the petitioner is going to speak more to their own community engagement, but this is the engagement that staff has had. CPC staff has received one letter of support. Additionally, staff attended a meeting of the Russell Woods Sullivan Area Association. At that time, we were informed that the petitioner had introduced the garden bug to the association a number of years ago, but they haven't had very recent contact. The staff also received, and I've included a letter as well as met with in person and over phone with an adjacent landowner directly to the south of this. The alley is what divides the two sites, and they sent some pictures. They have some concerns and comments about parking in the alley. And as you know, you received a packet with those, with some additional images that I did not put on the slides, but just to give an idea of what they are talking about, which you'll hear more, I believe, during public comment. And the building in that center image on the screen, that is the adjacent property owner who I'm speaking of's property, and you can see that they have parking spots for their residents there to the right of the white car in the image. And I'm going to pass this on to Maya Castleberry so that she can present the slides for the petitioner, if that's okay, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Swed.
Whenever you're ready.
Next slide. Okay. All right. So, hello, my name is Maya Castleberry. So, a little bit about our story. So, in 2014, the first location of the Garden Bug was purchased in historic Rosedale Park. By October of 2014, we were up and running for business. In 2020, after 6 successful years of the business, we decided that we wanted to look for another property. By 2021, the Garden Bug's second location was purchased in the Russell Woods area. And from 2022 to present, the Garden Bug continues to work to get it up to the standard as our first location. So who is the Garden Bug? In this picture, you'll see that it is a picture of our current business on Grand River. So a little bit about us. We are the first Black, female-owned and operated garden center in Detroit. We have 2 locations, 18901 Grand River and 4225 West Davison /4213 West Davison. We sell vegetable plants and seeds, patio furniture and decor, bagged Miracle Grow and Scott's garden soil, potting mix, mulch, yard decor, perennials and annuals, hanging baskets, fresh cut Christmas trees, cemetery grave blankets, porch pots, mums, pumpkins, straw, and tools and supplies needed to plant our inventory. We offer one-on-one tutorials on how to plant and maintain flower beds and gardens. So who is Tina? Tina is the sole owner of the Garden Bug. She was born and raised in Highland Park. She received her bachelor's degree from the University of Detroit College. She has 2 kids, her son Marcellus, who graduated from Henry Ford College, and myself, Maya. I graduated from the University of Michigan. She is a current resident of Highland Park, and she is passionate about gardening, traveling, and reading. So who is the Garden Bug's target audience? We target median income. Our customer base currently has a median income between $40,000 to $100,000. We target community vegetable gardeners. Our number 1 clientele are gardeners creating community vegetable gardens and independent landscapers. We also target multicultural city and suburban gardeners. We have a very large customer base. Our clientele come from Ann Arbor, Redford, Canton, Dearborn, Hamtramck, Highland Park, Detroit. And we also target children and individuals with special needs. We do strive to make sure that we're hiring community members, especially high school students, veterans, and adults with special needs. So about 4225 West Davison, our main goal for this property is to make Detroit beautiful 1 block at a time. It was built in 1928, vacant for 50 years, unsold in land bank for 31 years. At the time of purchase, it had no roof, no windows, no floors, water damage, asbestos, and piles of illegal dumping, such as tires, trash, roofing shingles, and needles. On the pictures on the side, you'll see the property. There were floors in the holes in the floor, holes in the ceiling, no windows, as you can see on the side. So what's been done so far? So to the house, we have added a new roof and framing, 22 new windows, including 11 glass block windows in the basement and 4 skylights added. Asbestos has been removed, tuck pointing done, interior framing, floor joists throughout, 2 new doors, a dormer rebuilt, and floodlights added. To the property, a fence has been added, a cement walkway was poured, new porch and stairs were poured, 140 perennials planted around the perimeter of the house, and 3 trees have been planted. For our outreach, we have done numerous outreach to neighbors and community members. We've also done outreach to community organizations, such as Brilliant Detroit and Russell and Sullivan Wood Block Clubs. So why here, why now? The need in Russell Woods for a garden center is critical so people can grow their own, have employment opportunities, and participate in the intimate gardening classes that we offer. The nearest garden center is currently 10 miles away, the closest being in Dearborn, Redford, Ferndale, or Madison Heights. So where are we now? What are we doing, and what do we still need to do? We still need electrical, HVAC, drywall, and plumbing. We're finishing the inside of the house for an employee break room and bathroom. As Ms. Swed had mentioned earlier, it will not be designated for customer use or entry. We're moving the fence forward to allow for 3 customer parking spots and an additional 1 ADA accessible spot. Employee spots are not needed. The employees include myself and people from the neighborhood who walk over or take an Uber. We are getting all of our violations corrected. The one we've done so far, we have removed the business sign from the fence, and we are currently working on getting it rezoned. Our goal for DLBA is to meet their requirements for completing the construction of the house. Grants we've received thus far. We have received $25,000 from Gary Torgo at Huntington Bank, $20,000 from Detroit Means Business, $10,000 from Techtown DEGC, and $65,000 from Motor City Match. Currently, we have spent at least $185,000 towards the construction of the property. As we can see on the side, these are some renovations that we've done. These are just a few pictures that I've added. We have added a door, new shingles and a roof. As you can see, all the new windows, the floor has been patched up inside, the fence added, and numerous other updates that we've made. And the last slide are the architect site plans that Ms. Wedge showed you earlier. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you for that well-spoken presentation. Much appreciated. Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions of the applicant? Commissioner Lewis, yes, go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is to staff. How many properties? My question is to staff. How many properties are involved here?
Yes, through the chair to Commissioner Lewis. There are 2 properties, but they are currently undergoing the process of having those parcels combined.
And
yes, sorry.
which property is owned by the Detroit Land Bank, or are both owned by the Detroit Land Bank?
Through the chair to Commissioner Lewis, they are both owned by the applicant now. They were purchased from the land bank.
Do we have the applicant's deed?
Through the chair, no, we do not. But I can make sure to get that before the next hearing, or before the next time this is brought before the commission.
The property information in the packet indicates that what is in the packet is relative to an option with the Detroit Land Bank.
Through the chair, yes, that was something that was submitted to us, which also laid out all the requirements that the land bank had for the petitioner. But they have since then, this has been in process since 2021. So they have since then completed the purchase. And they...
The purchase was completed without the proper zoning?
Through the chair to Commissioner Lewis, that is my understanding.
But a deed was not submitted with the application.
Through the chair, unless I have not seen that, Mr. Gulak may know better. All right, in case you didn't, he said he's going to double check.
Well, yes, I would need clarity on ownership.
And through the chair, when we started this process, the purchase agreement showed legal interest, but things have progressed since then.
Yes, I understand. And with a confirmation that this entity now owns the property, the zoning, we need to understand ownership in order to vote on this zoning. We need to be clear that it is no longer owned by the Detroit Land Bank.
Absolutely. Through the chair, I will be sure to get that and have that submitted to commissioners prior to the next time this comes before you.
Okay, thank you. My next questions have to do with this document that is showing what I'm looking at is no parking along Davison may not be allowed. Is this document relevant?
Through the chair, yes, it is. That is from November, the comments are, and yes, parking along Davison is not allowed.
Of course, I live in this community, and where would the patrons park?
Through the chair, there is, oh, I thought I was sharing. I'm pulling that up as well. There are parking spots designated or shown on that site plan. There have, P&DD did request that those be perpendicular as opposed to on the angle. We are still in discussion and are not entirely sure yet. We have not confirmed how many spots would be needed or through which process that determination will be.
And so the placement of the dumpster and all of the other call-outs on this site plan will be handled through staff at some point?
Through the chair to Member Lewis. So take this moment just, of course, to remind the commission, this is a standard rezoning, so the site plan, of course, is not subject to the rezoning as it would be in a PD or other district. But we have been, as you note by the materials that have been submitted, because of the length of time that the city has been working with the petitioner in order to develop a compliant site and address the issues that have been raised by Building and Safety Engineering. Site plan review has been done, whereas certainly in other circumstances, it would have been done maybe subsequent to the rezoning taking place. So you do have a marked up site plan indicating the issues that the city has identified. Again, responding to what that site plan proposed, indicating that the proposed parking on West Davison would not be allowed, no parking also on Petoskey, and that on-site parking would have to be provided. And as Ms. Sweat indicated, one of the other responses is that they would require that parking be converted to perpendicular rather than angled. So yes, subsequent to the rezoning being complete, the site plan review process would be completed and filed with Building and Safety Engineering, and the permitting process would begin from there. And once again, the petitioner would be responsible for submitting a compliant site plan.
Thank you, Director Todd. And my last question for staff has to do with community outreach. And what I'm looking at basically indicates that no one in the community has been addressed on this document here.
Through the chair, to Commissioner Lewis, something that I and this was my fault, I forgot to add it into the slideshow. Members of the DONS, of the Department of Neighborhoods, did go door to door and spoke to some of the residents. And as I mentioned, this was brought before the Russell-Wood Sullivan Area Association back when they were first starting. And as far as that, we've received communications with the neighbor, and the public hearing notice was sent out to 400 feet as opposed to the 300. In any other, oh, and then I attended, or staff attended the Russell Woods meeting yesterday evening, and I was able to speak with the president of the association, and so that has been, the public hearing was then email blasted out to all members of that association.
Okay. And my next questions are for the applicant. Help me understand, the building is not complete. When did you buy the building? When did you close the transaction with the Detroit Land Bank?
That would have been June 2021. But we purchased it October of 2019, but with the COVID pandemic, it was just difficult to close and sign off on everything. So it was finalized in June of 2021.
Would you by any chance have a deed to the property with you?
No, but I can get it for you.
Okay, so help me understand the delay in the completion of the building.
You want to know what else needs to be done?
No, I want to know what has caused the delay. The building was purchased in 2021?
Correct. And purchased in 2019. Now, originally when we signed off, it was down in St. Clair Shores. We signed off with the title company and everything. They told me that we had 6 to 7 months to clear the debris, cut the trees, get windows in, put a roof on, and at least get it in a safe, habitable state. And with that being said, that's what we jumped into doing, securing the property and making sure there was no more illegal dumping and things like that. And then somewhere along the line, Dave Walker contacted me and said, you know, you're supposed to rezone it first and then go to doing that. I wasn't aware of that. Land Bank just said, try to hurry up and complete the build out in 6 to 8 months is what they told us the timeline was. So with the paperwork, submitting this, submitting that, it's been a few delays with the meeting with people and getting Zoom meetings, but everyone's been very diligent. It just hasn't moved really quick.
Okay, I would say that in your option, the land bank does indicate that you need to get the zoning. As a matter of fact, the zoning should have been done by April 22nd of 2021. The option expired on April 22nd of 2021 because the zoning did not occur.
Okay.
I'd like to ask you some questions about the site itself. Do you feel that the site is large enough for what you are attempting to do there?
Yes.
Okay, will you be able to accommodate that parking on site?
Yes.
I drive by there and I see where there's quite a bit of flowers and gardening kinds of things that fill the entire site. There's a lot of activity there, and it looks that it could be a very successful business. My concern is that the impact that it is having on the surrounding residents, the impact that it has had on the traffic patterns along Davison Avenue. I have come down Davison myself, and there have been orange cones on Davison causing the traffic to have to go around. There have been various commercial type vehicles parked there that has caused in my mind, very serious traffic patterns. And when I look at the site, I'm not the specialist or the professional in this kind of thing by any means. When I look at the congestion on the site, I just wonder how this zoning would go, whether or not you could successfully run the business, and that's up to you. Whether you want to open it or not. My only concern is whether or not the zoning and how the approval of this zoning will impact the quality of life of those families that are living around this business. Have you talked with the Jehovah's Witness Church about possibly sharing some of the parking or leasing some of their parking for your business?
They shop there. And I believe they fellowship on Saturdays. But for the last 4 or 5 months, I haven't seen anyone there. So I'm not sure if they're having services online.
I would suggest, because again, my position here is simply as to how this business impacts the quality of life for those individuals that live around this business. And I can tell you from my personal experience, I do live in that community, coming up Davison. It's very surprising when there are orange cones on Davison. There are 50, 60,000 cars going down Davison daily. And for those orange cones to be out there backing up traffic, I mean, that is that is a negative for the quality of life. And to turn the corner and not be able to turn the corner going, that would be south on Petoskey, that has a very harsh and negative impact on the quality of life. One of the things, and again, this is only as to how this business, and of course I wish you great success. I'm only speaking to how this business impacts the quality of life for individuals living in that community. I see the cars parked in the alley. I see the cars parked on the street. And I'm not sure whether the amount of I'm just not sure if the size of the lot it would accommodate the amount of individuals you have coming there. And I don't know if that's that's just my perspective.
Regarding the quality of life, I want to say probably 40% of the clients that shop over there are over the age of 65. Many of them have MS. Many of them have had strokes. Many of them have had heart attacks. So the accessibility of a garden center in their neighborhood for basic things like dirt, collard green, basic things like a rake, a broom, a shovel, it definitely improves their quality of life. They have to go at least to Dearborn, Redford, or Madison Heights for the next closest Home Depot or garden center.
Yes,
So with that being said,
I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is in terms of what is going on for the business on the corner and how it impacts the residents that are living there behind the business, how it impacts me personally coming down Davison, making that right turn. I am not saying that this is not a good thing for you to do. I'm just presenting you with my thoughts in terms of moving this zoning forward. That's all. I'm only speaking to the quality of life. I do know that different people will shop there and would continue to shop there. The only thing that I'm asking you to consider as you move forward with this zoning request is how you're going to mitigate the situation with the parking and the situation with the congestion of traffic. That's all I'm asking you to do. I'm not saying I'm not saying your business is negative. I'm talking about the impact that it is having on that corner.
Okay. The incidents that you speak about regarding the cones out, building inspections came out and said he would prefer, this is Ronald Youngblood, would prefer if we did loading and unloading off of Davison. So if you're driving by and see cones outside, it's either Forgotten Harvest doing a food delivery for the low income and the homeless in the area, or we're getting a flower or pumpkin delivery. So we put cones out for probably 30 minutes to 45 minutes so we can unload the truck. And then the truck pulls off. So the cones are not out there all day. They're not out there every day. This is a business that's only open May, June, October, and December.
So
we're only there
buildings and
4 months
safety-
out of the year.
Buildings and Safety indicated that they wanted you
They wanted
to
it loaded and
on
unloaded,
Davison?
yes. We do a food pantry on Fridays, and then during the week, occasionally, maybe 3 times during the summer, once in October and 4 times in December, we have a delivery. So we put cones out to give people a chance to merge over.
I can't say that I've seen trucks unloading loading and unloading on Davison. That would be but if that's what Buildings and Safety indicated you should do, of course that's what you should do. Davison has 50,000 cars coming down at 40 to 50 miles an hour. So but if that's what Building and Safety has instructed you to do, certainly that's what you should do. I'm just saying to you that I would like to see a little less congestion on the corner, and I would like to understand the impact that this business is having on the adjacent residents, and I don't have that here.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, if I can address a few of those things.
Go ahead, Ms. Wood.
On the most recent site plan, it does show a space for loading and unloading in the alley. And we do have Jada Filson from BSeed Online that can maybe speak to the whether or not that is ideal for on West Davison.
Yes, I would be very interested to hear what she has to say.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jada Filson representing the Building Department. To speak on the loading and unloading, that the applicant indicated that Inspector Youngblood gave her, I guess, permission to unload and unload on Davison. Um, BC does not have the authority to dictate anything in the right of way. We only permit and enforce on parcels. That would be a DPW authority. So, but we can indicate on the site plan that unloading and unloading takes place in the alley through DPW. But we can't dictate anything on Davison on the streets.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Filson. Understood. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Sweat, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Not to that, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. And I did have just a couple follow-up questions. I think these are primarily the staff. While I'm not a flower expert, my first job was a flower shop. So I'm very familiar with flower shops and all that goes along with it and flats and all those things. So I like what you're doing. My question for staff is this parcel is zoned R3. On the other side of Potowski, the next two parcels are zoned PD. And then if you go the other way down Davison, those parcels are also zoned R3. Across the street is R3. Kitty Corner is a mix of, I think, R2 and R3. And then behind this parcel, those are all zoned R2. So my question is, and this may come up in the formal master planning considerations, is how are we not creating a spot zone with this B2 district? And if there is a desire of staff and staff thinks this is appropriate, can staff look at going down Davison the other way towards Livernois and see if those parcels may also should also be zoned B2? I know there's a gentleman that owns a good chunk of those parcels. It looks privately held, not by the applicant. Between this site and the church on the other end, I don't know how much that individual has to be engaged, and then there's the church next to them. So I'm just curious on that whole kind of block end, bookend to bookend, if it's appropriate that that entire area be B2 to support this parcel being B2. So yeah, if staff could look into that, or I don't know if you've already looked at it and you have an answer already, but just my observation is everything here is residential. And the next general business is over on Livernois. But, I think if my memory correct, parts of Davison are commercial and various other spots. So if you just look at it, I'm just curious to how we can do that, to accommodate or at least just to make better the petition itself.
Yes, Mr. Chair, to answer the spot zoning question, so this would not be creating a illegal spot zone. So there is a difference. The B2 is, because it's local business and residential, it does fit within the same context as an R3. So that is something that we considered and looked into. Additionally, there has been conversations about how much to rezone here, and we can definitely, as your request, we can definitely look into that further and come back with answers on that. And that And you are correct. As I mentioned, I've been having some issues with my computer. I did want to show a larger map of the area with the zoning, but because further down there is B4 and B6 as
Away-
well.
I'm sorry, away from Livernois,
Yeah, on the other side of Livernois.
other side of Livernois.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, because it's that gas station and all that stuff over there. Yeah.
And Director Todd was just saying that from Dexter as well, going east is
Mhm.
also a mix of business districts, and so, but that is definitely something that we can look into. I do know it is primarily vacant land, other than the one institutional use and their parking along that stretch.
Are churches allowed in B2? Just, you may not know off the top. They are?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That answers all my questions. Commissioners, Commissioner Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I noticed here in this document, Exhibit B and Exhibit C, there are deeds, a quitclaim deed from the land bank to the garden bug. The garden bug. Then there's another reconveyance deed from the garden bug to the land bank. Has any of these deeds been executed?
I didn't hear the question.
There are two deeds in this packet that we have, one from the land bank to your organization, and then a reconveyance deed from your organization to the land bank, both dated August 4th of 2021. Has any of these deeds been signed and recorded at the Register of Deeds?
We did all that. So I'm not sure about the confusion, but we did that immediately. She told us, I think we had a week or 2 weeks to file it.
Oh, okay. So if they quit claim the property to you after you purchased it, you reconveyed it back to the land bank?
No.
That's what this deed says here. That's what I'm trying to get some clarity on.
Yeah, she filled all the paperwork out, just gave us an envelope and told us we had to mail it in.
Ms. Fred, do you have any?
Through the chair to Commissioner Daniels, we will investigate further into that. As far as we were aware, Ms. Castleberry is the deed holder. I know there's some discrepancies online between our different systems that you can use to look up parcel data. So that is already being looked into.
So have you seen these two deeds here?
Yes, I know which
Okay.
in the purchase agreement.
Right. There's a release of interest in the real property.
Yeah, thanks
Yes.
for that. I wasn't aware of that.
But she still does have legal interest. There was a recent meeting.
No, I'm not disputing that. I'm just asking, why are there two deeds? One from the land bank to the garden bug, and then simultaneously one from the garden bug to the land bank. One for $7,500, and the other one is for $1.
Yes, Commissioner Lewis. Yes.
That is also a part of my concern. Generally, when an entity purchasing land from the Detroit Land Bank does not adhere to the requirements, they are required to sign a deed that would revert the property back to the land bank at some point. So I understand what you're saying. That could very well be a deed resting at the land bank. But that's one of the things that we need clarity on.
Exactly. Because if that deed is recorded and a title search is done on the property, it would show that the land bank still owns the property. The chain would be complete, but there would be a discrepancy. Well, they bought it on this date and they simultaneously quitclaimed it back to the land bank. They bought it for $7,500 and gave it back for $1. We just need some clarity, that's all. I'm just asking a
Thank
question.
you. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
Thank you, Commissioner Daniels. Director Todd.
Thank you. We will certainly verify, but I believe, as Commissioner Lewis has indicated, This is part of the reversionary process. The city will do something similar with some land sales. There are always terms of reversion. And again, I think as Ms. Sweat has indicated, as petitioner has indicated, when the deal was entered into, there were parameters given and a time frame. So title might transfer, but there is an opportunity wherein if requirements have not been complied with, that they can start the reversionary process. I believe that the deed is there in order to prepare, presupposing or again in preparation for that instance arising, you've already got the mechanism in place.
Okay, so if it's completed and complied with, then they'll just destroy that deed.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
But again, we will verify.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The presentation discussed the amount of funds that had been awarded to the petitioner to work on the facility, correct?
Through the chair to Commissioner Bennett, yes, the petitioner's presentation did.
Yeah, okay, and that was $180,000, if I remember correctly, I think.
Through the chair, I'm pulling that up now.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
25.
It looks like what's listed on here would be $120,000.
And the quoted number was 180.
Okay. So there were grants separate from these that totaled that 180, or is the 180 that was stated incorrect?
Through the chair, that Ms. Castleberry would have that information. I am not aware. The one that I am familiar with would be the Motor City match.
Okay. Oh, with these, were they all for the restoration of the building, or is some meant for the business use?
Gary Turco is I want to say a friend, but very generous man. And he gave us $25,000 out of his personal funds to do with what we want. So with that $25,000, we used it towards the purchase of the property and to get the asbestos removed, the lot cleaned off. That's what we used the $25,000 for. Detroit Means Business was a grant primarily for technology architect or land design. So we decided to use it for technology towards our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, that kind of thing. So we utilized those funds for that. Motor City Match, of course, was supposed to be for either purchasing inventory or the rehab of the home, correct? And all the rest of the funds have been my personal funds.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. I was just wondering, I'm in construction, and at first I heard 180,000, and I was comparing that to the progress that had been made on the property itself. I just wanted to get clarification on that. So you've replaced all the windows or roof, you've done new structural framing, but you still have not been able to do MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing yet?
Yeah, the city told us to wait because we came down with the builder/carpenter to complete the work on the inside to meet land bank's specifications. With that, they said, nope, can't pull a permit until you get architect drawings. So, I have 2 architects. Paid those 2. That was in end of August, I believe we started. And they said, oh, can't take the architect drawings until you get those approved and didn't get a rezone. So you still can't finish the build out. So it's really been on pause for the last 7-8 months.
Okay. And through this process, you have kept the land bank aware of the hurdles, obstacles, because I know with my fellow commissioner was talking about the deed of reconveyance, you need to keep them regularly updated. Or if you're having headwinds, we'll say, to make sure that they're aware so that it does not enact that reconveyance process.
Someone reached out to me probably 3 weeks ago and was kind of curious why it wasn't completed yet, and I explained it to her. She was not aware. So Land Bank is now aware. Amanda Watts is who we started with. That's who we send and text and email all of our photos and updates and what we're working on a monthly basis. Amanda Watts had been off on some sort of a medical, so I wasn't able to email her, and she sort of lost a chain. So we stopped sending photos. So someone from Land Bank, a higher up, like a supervisor, reached out to me 3 weeks ago and said, okay, let's get back on track. Let's send us pictures and just kind of keep us updated on what's going on once a month. So they are aware now, as of 2 weeks ago, that it is not completed, but we do have an architect. We are at a hearing today, so they're aware of, the steps we're taking.
Okay. Thank you. No more questions at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Bennett. Any other questions? All right, I do not see any other questions. This is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing. And similar to our last public hearing, it's an opportunity for the community and residents to participate, provide comments, input, and/or questions. And there are two ways of participating. If you are attending this meeting virtually and want to participate in the public hearing for this item, you can express your desire to do so by raising your hand virtually within the platform, and we will move you over. And if you are attending here in person and want to participate in the public hearing, make sure you get these yellow staff cards to staff, and then they'll bring them to the front, and then you will be acknowledged in that fashion. Can we start online, Ms. Sweat? Do you have any virtual hands raised?
Mr. Chair, there are currently no hands raised online.
Okay. Well, we'll go in person and double back. Give them a chance. All right. I do have 4 cards in front of me. So if you are here in person and you have not got a yellow staff card to the front, I will not call you. The first person I have is Travis Dennis, followed by Ernestine Hawkins and Jamila Hebburn. And then what you can do is here to my left, your right, there are 2 microphones. You can go to those podiums. And then when you are ready to speak, tap the base of the microphone. It will turn from red to green, and then you have 2 minutes. And while they are teeing up, Ms. Sweat, do we have any? I think we have a handful of support for the garden bug and other documents. I just want to acknowledge that we do have those.
Through the chair, yes, you have those. There is one other communication coming from the adjacent landowner.
Okay.
But it is one that has also been submitted to that was sent to some other entities throughout the city.
Okay. Is this the landowner to the rear?
Yes.
Rear. Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's see, Mr. Davis, whenever you're ready, 2 minutes. Yep. Did it turn green?
Yep. Hello, everybody. My name is Travis Dennis, and I'm an investor at the property of 4202 Waverly. And I'm just here to speak in regards to the parking issue that's taking place. I have personally had an issue with people who park in the alley, because the parking is a parking lot that has 4 spots. If you park in that spot and someone comes in the alley, they'll block you in. So if you're trying to come out of that alley and they inside of the garden bug, you have to wait for them to come out, or you have to go over there and actually get them. Like, hey, I need to get out. I got to go to work or whatever. So it's actually really blocking us. We spoke with the owner in regards to rectifying the situation. We've put up signs that say no parking. This is residential parking. We have barriers that are blocking the actual residential parking, and they're still going around the barrier, not the owners, but the customers, going around the barriers and parking. So in the climate that we're in right now, you never know how someone's attitude is. So I can get on my car and say, hey, can you move your car? If they having a bad day, that can go left real easily. So I'm just speaking in regards to trying to prevent any issues that may occur. And that's all I got to say.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Hawkins, whenever you're ready, just tap the mic.
Hi, my name is Ernestine Hawkins. I'm the property owner at 4202 and 4210 Waverly, located in Detroit. I'm here to bring attention to the ongoing parking issue affecting my property. For the past 2 years, I have tried to resolve this matter, but have faced constant resistance and pushback. This issue stemmed from the garden bug traffic that's been open. The facility was open since 2023. I understand that Ms. Castleberry is trying to get her area rezoned. But my question is, if she's allowed to get this property rezoned, is that a resolution for her to stop having her employees direct her customers onto my property? I've got a 4 cement slab, and then I have a 4-car garage. That's a total of 8 parking spots back there. The alley is not big enough for 2 cars. I have been spit at. I've had a young man pull out his penis and piss on my property because he was upset that I asked him to move. I'm for her being successful because I'm a business owner too. I just want her, she needs to get in control of her parking. Before she put that 6-foot fence up there, my ex-husband and myself spoke with her and she refused to speak to us. I called neighborhood policing, Donald Parker. He came out and told me I need to get along with her. I've been to the 10th precinct. I've been to the 3rd precinct. The people at the 10th precinct, which is Donald Parker, he ignored me. I went there 3 times, and all 3 times they put him in front of me. The 3rd time I said, I don't even want to talk to you. He said, okay, fine. Went to the 3rd precinct. I talked to a Christopher Gibson. He guaranteed me he was going to take care of the situation. He was going to give me a call back after his vacation. Never heard from him. I went up to the 3rd precinct. He wouldn't even come down to talk to me. Now, Miss Castleberry is talking to the guy next door to me. I got his name in the phone saying she has inside connections and she know people down here at the city. Well, it seemed to be true. Because if anybody with some common sense go out there and just look at it, it's a big mess. It's dangerous. They're trespassing on my property. And like I said, I'm not against her.
Right.
I want her to
Sorry.
be successful.
I got to cut you short. Everyone has 2 minutes. I apologize. If you want to give additional comments, I just direct you to staff, and then they'll kind of circulate that information back to us. Okay. Sorry, but thank you. All right. Next, we have Jamila Hepburn, and then Indra Hawkins.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jamila Hepburn, and I have something prepared. I'm a future investor, but it's contingent on this being resolved. The Waverly-Davidson encounter created a culture that perpetuated the infringement of a resident of the city of Detroit, Ms. Hawkins. And as a registered voter, I am compelled to explain why the rezoning of this business should only be encouraged with stipulations that the business owner provide parking for her customers, which will stop them from parking on Ms. Hawkins' residential property. I ask that you enforce the rules of the planning department. I ask that the zoning department recognize residential support of the business. Establishing a business in a manner without considering parking disturbances take away from loyal Detroiters having faith in what is fair and equitable. Unfortunately, the home and business owners become casualties. Where's the accountability and how did we fail to protect the city's stakeholders while cutting the ribbon? I would like to mention that this meeting should not represent a resident having to find the perfect words to convince a council of why we did not talk about this prior to the opening of the flower shop. This meeting should not represent city officials choosing to ignore this problem for 2 years. However, I choose to express to you good people what this meeting is about. It's about a resolution that supports integrity and accountability. This meeting represents the intentions of a resident to bring light to why zoning for businesses in residential areas should be taken seriously and timely enforced. This meeting represents why homeowners, business owners, as well as city officials should work together to support the viability of Detroit. It's Detroit versus everybody, not Detroit versus each other. We must continue to enhance what makes Detroit its own Mecca. We must strive to support our residents that have remained active and productive in the community. We must spend less time writing letters to solve a problem that never should have existed to begin with, and more time
sorry,
getting the
Miss-
word out to vote in the
Sorry, Miss Hepburn, I
upcoming
gotta-
mayoral election.
Sorry, I got to cut
I
you short.
understand.
All right, but if you do have that in writing, I just recommend you give it to staff and they'll
Sure.
include it as a part of the record.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. All right, and the last public commenter I have in person is Andrew Hawkins.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is India Hawkins. I am here on behalf of the Waverly properties. Miss Ernestine is my mother. Myself and my brother, we are registered nurses, and at that property, we are catering to the elderly, the handicapped, the people that need, when they need emergency services or just anyone to come and check on them, we have to be able to get to them. So having cars blocking the entry is just not gonna work. One, it's not safe, and it's a hazard. This has been an ongoing thing. It's been about 2 years. As you can see from everybody's testimony over here, it's upsetting. I just feel that this whole situation, it shouldn't even have to get to this point because it could have been resolved the right way when everyone reached out to the appropriate departments. I just ask that this get rectified before, something happens. I mean, and it's just the climate that we're living in these days. You just don't know people's temperament. And like I said, the caliber of people that we are going to be catering to, they need to be able to we need to be able to get to them. And that's it.
Thank you. And can you just clarify which property over there is yours?
4202 and 42 Twin.
Waverly?
Waverly.
Waverly, okay. Thank you. All right, I think that concludes all of our comments in person. I'll give you a moment later. I got you. I will, just give me a moment. Ms. Swed, do you have any other participants virtually?
Mr. Chair, I am not seeing any hands raised online.
Okay, with that, I will close the public hearing for this item. And if you want to take a moment to provide any responses to any questions you heard, and then I'll allow my commissioners to speak. Microphone, please. Microphone, please.
Thank you. I appreciate all the comments and feedback. The reason why the police no longer come out, she's called the DPD on me at least a dozen times. Yes, people have urinated. Yes, she comes in with her Henry Ford vehicle. She does not live there at either one of the property. She swears at customers. She spits at them. It has been a real mess. Have we lost customers behind that? Yes. She comes out and literally bullies everybody out there. She's brought customers to tears. So with that being said, this is one side of the story. That's why the police stopped coming, because of her behavior. I mean, when they show up, it's a mess. When I say it's a real mess, it's a real mess. And then like DPD said, if you wanted the property, you should have bought it. It's been there 50 years and land bank for 31 years. You should have bought the property because they were parking on it prior to me fencing it in. So I'm trying to be as neighborly as possible. I do have a lot of special needs and handicapped people that come. Nobody has a problem with scooting up or scooting back. She does not need to get out and swear and holler. She's putting broken glass in the alley. It's turned into an all-out bullying incident is really what's happening.
Okay. Sure. Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any comments or questions? Commissioner Lewis, Commissioner Daniels, and then Commissioner Russell.
What I would.
My architect would like to say something too when you get a minute.
Let's let the architect have his say, and then that way maybe he sheds some light on this matter.
Go right ahead, sir.
All right. When we were looking at the site,
and microphone, please.
Sorry. When we were first looking at the site, the site plan that you guys have is really just a schematic site plan. It was just to show something that could be developed on the property. There's other ways to do it. that would be less intrusive to the people that are back here that have complaints about the alley parking. I mean, if I can, I'd like to show you guys what I've just done in paper in a few minutes. I could pass it around to you, but it shows a different parking site that we could possibly do that would even add more parking with just one entrance, and the people would not be in the alley whatsoever. Okay. So if I could pass that around, would you guys like to see it?
I will. I'll give it to staff, and staff will get it to us primarily because we're here to discuss the zoning text amendment. So I don't want to get too deep into site planning.
Right.
And staff will kind of give us recommendations on site planning.
So I mean, again, the site plan that you have was, very schematic, and there's other ways to do it. I didn't understand that the parking in the alley was going to be such a problem.
Yeah.
But I do think that we could rectify it by showing a different parking.
Okay. Well, if you have another version that addresses these concerns, when this item comes back, we would like to see those things. So we'll let you kind of work it out with staff, and then you can kind of get it to us.
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Lewis. I'm sorry, Ms. Swed, Commissioner Lewis.
If we can figure it out, Mr. Chair, Ms. Perales is going to attempt to make copies with our new copy machine, so that you guys will have that site plan before the end of the meeting.
Do you want it today?
You can wait later. You can get it later.
Yeah, give it to us at the next meeting.
And I was also going to comment on some of the comments earlier regarding the nature of communications between the property owners there. I will reach out to, unfortunately, I had planned on doing this. The MPO Parker was not able to be there at the Russell Woods meeting last night, but I will reach out and try to get a full scope of what has occurred in these situations.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Commissioner Lewis.
I just wanted to speak to the residents, and that is exactly the kind of thing that we need to know in making these zoning decisions. Again, as I round the corner from Davison East to Petoskey South, the area, and to the owner, the area is very congested. As the residents have indicated, in these times, you don't know what's going to happen. And not only that, more importantly, the customers should not be parking in the alley. The customers should be parking on the street or on the site. And again, in terms of quality of life, this is why I brought that up previously. That is my concern. When I round that corner, I don't have to stop to know that there are problems there, because there is too much congestion behind those homes with cars. Consequently, when anyone is trying to get out, think of it. If you were trying to get out of your driveway wherever you live and someone were blocking you in, that is not a good situation. And that is what I'm speaking to in terms of this zoning. Those issues must be resolved. We do not want individuals to find themselves in a very precarious situation based on a flower shop in that community. That situation must be resolved, in my opinion, before you can get that zoning. Those residents deserve to be able to live in their homes, get in their cars, and get to where they need to go 24/7. That is their property. So your organization needs to determine how you're going to keep your customers off of their property. Perhaps I think they call it an opaque wall, where you're really not able to get around. Now, you can't stop people from going in the alley, But the way the site is set up right now, that's the first place they're going to go. That's the place they think that's their parking area. So I hope that I would say to Director Todd, I hope that what I am indicating here is within the guidelines of this commission. At this time, I am disinclined to approve this zoning as long as the residential property owners adjacent to that business are having those kinds of problems. Resolve those problems and everything is fine. As far as I'm concerned, you need several other votes to get what you want. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Lewis. Commissioner Daniels?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So based on the architect's new plan, how many additional parking spaces would be on that property?
You know, we haven't actually been told how many we needed, but I think we could fit in between 8 and 10 parking spaces on the property.
So
Access through the alley, but they'll turn into a parking lot, so nobody would stay in the alley. And it would be adjacent, right next to the dumpster. So they'll turn in right past the dumpster, go into a parking lot, and I think we can fit 8 to 10 cars.
And there's street parking as well, correct?
I don't know if there is street parking
On
allowed,
Davidson?
but, I mean, we've heard that you can and can't, so
Well, it was a big
I
concern
don't
for
know if
me.
they
is-
need more than 10 spaces at once, but, I mean, you can talk to that, but.
How much
To
square?
be honest with you, normally there's only 2 to 3 people there at a time. And let's remind ourselves, this is a garden center and we're seasonal and we're pop-up. So we're only open May, June, October, and December. So you have 8 months, there's nobody there. We're over there cutting grass and picking up trash and paper. So with that being said, this isn't 12 months out of the year. So I really don't want to overthink this. People come, they stay 10 minutes, they pick up their things and they're gone. Nobody's hanging out and staying for hours. You know, we're not serving champagne on the side. They're not coming inside the house. They literally make their purchase. We load them up. I hire the local teenagers to load the car. So everything is facilitated very quickly.
I understand that, but again, I'm looking at, because I had a similar situation up on the east side, but we'll get into that another time. The residents need to be able to get in and out of their properties without no kind of hassle.
Yeah, nobody's
it.
blocking the alley that long, ever.
Well, period, it shouldn't be blocked. In my opinion, it shouldn't be blocked at all, because people want to come in and go out. And they shouldn't have to wait if somebody is in the store for 10 minutes or whatever, however long they're there.
They never have to wait. That would be an over-exaggeration to say that. Building inspection said, as long as we pull past her property, it's not a problem at all. She does not own, it's a right-of-way for both cars to pass. So when he came out, he said, as long as you're past her property or your customers pull up just past the gate, it's not a problem. So you're making something out of, a hater. That's a good word, a hater.
Mr. Chair, if I can intervene.
That's kind of confrontational to say stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
you're all a neighbor, you're a business owner over there, you're still a neighbor, even though you don't lay your head there at night, but people need to get together in these communities and work
Right.
together.
I agree, that's what
It takes
DPD
teamwork to
said.
make the dream work, really.
I agree, I
That's
agree
what you're
100%.
gonna say?
And I'm a good neighbor. I mean, the neighbors on the block come over, I give them mums, I give them pumpkins, I come over and consult in their yard, I come over when I have grass seeds left over. I'm not a bad neighbor. It's kind of nice to have a garden center behind your house, I would think. So most of the neighbors on the block are benefiting from the freebies that we're throwing out at the end of every season. Christmas trees, they get free trees, they get free wreaths. So very generous. I'm not trying to, ruffle anybody's feathers. I just want them to know, as long as they pull up, she still finds something to complain about. We could have 8 spots and it still won't be enough for her.
Mr. Daniels,
So-
if I may?
Yes.
I want to echo Commissioner Lewis's point. Alleys are for access. They allow you to get to a property and from a property. And those residents use that alley to get to and from the rears of their properties.
Correct.
So any scenario, if a car is there for 20 seconds and it causes an issue for 25 seconds, that's a problem. in my understanding, DPW can weigh in into staff. I don't think anyone is allowed to park in an alley. It's for access, ingress and egress. So any parking, and I don't know who provided these, but we all have handfuls of photos of cars parking in the alley. And, I don't know if they're here for 30 seconds, 20 minutes, just to pick up a flat, to load a flat. I think what the residents are saying is that any parking in that alley causes problems. And you're a neighbor, and this is a situation where, as a neighbor, your neighbors have direct input on how successful or if this project can be successful. So I understand, like I said, I know how garden centers work. I know the type of pickup times and loading, and I understand all those things. But those residents have concerns, and you need to take a moment and address those concerns with those residents. Because if they continue to speak out against this, go right ahead. If they continue to speak out against this project, we're compelled to hear what they're saying. So, I think we've all indicated we support a garden use. We have nothing against the garden center. I think we all generally like what you're doing, but the residents have concerns, and you need to address those if we're to go forward with this item.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Sweat, Director Todd, Commissioner Russell, and then Daniels if you got something else.
Mr. Chair, Jada Filson is still on the line if she would like to address any of these loading, unloading. I will say parking is not permitted, but whether or not loading and unloading is permitted, she may know better than I do. But parking of any kind for the customers would be not permitted at all in the alleyway.
Okay. Really quick question. You know the total square footage of that retail space? Architect or
It's on the site plan somewhere.
It's 103 by 53.
Yeah.
103 long by 53 deep.
the building, the square foot of the building.
Oh, just a home?
Yeah, just the home.
Just 1375.
1375. It's about 4 or 5 spaces. Okay. Ms. Filson, whenever you're ready, if you have any additional comments you want to provide.
Yes, through the chair. Yes, that's correct. Parking is not permitted in the alley. The loading and unloading, we do have an agreement with DPW where loading can be shown on the site plan because it is a short term for applicants to unload their merchandise, but then move their vehicle or the vehicle that they're unloading. But that's the only thing that can happen in the alley.
Okay, thank you, thank you. And can you speak to, I know you mentioned DPW controls Davison and what happens in the right of way, but can you speak to, the permissibility of landowners putting cones and in the right of way to kind of, control traffic or to allow for loading and unloading? Is that something that is permitted?
That is not permitted.
Okay.
And also with parking that is on Davison, we cannot count on-street parking as a calculation for parking for any development or establishment.
Okay. Thank you for that. And last question, is there I know there's a distance requirement for off-street parking. It's like 300 feet from the property or something like that. Does that apply for commercial sites like this one? Can she provide off-street parking at a different location if it's within the allowable distance?
It depends on what use it is, but most of the time, depending on the use, there can be like a shared parking agreement within 100 feet.
Within 100 feet. Does that apply to storage and loading and unloading? Or does
No.
it not speak to it?
It does not speak to it, but we probably would not permit that anyway because it should be closest to the building to unload merchandise.
Okay, so she couldn't use the church's lot across the street to park the truck, unload it, and walk it across the street?
No,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, do you have any other questions of staff? And commissioners, did I have one down here? Commissioner Russell.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Sway, I talk a long time. I apologize in advance. To the west of the home that's on the Garden Bug property, is that land bank land?
Through the chair to Commissioner Russell, no, it is not. That is privately owned, and then the church owns the next parcels. I am not sure any further than the church.
Okay. And so, I drive down Davison there, and it's empty down there, and it's a wide street, right? It's got a left turn lane, and it's got 3 lanes on each side of traffic, right? And I don't know how we find this out, but Grand River, Livernois, a lot of those are not that wide. And I know it's a lot of traffic going down there, Davison, depending on the time, but for the life of me, I don't understand why parking is not allowed on Davison, because it's 2 lanes of traffic flowing each side, and then there's one for parking. And I know I've driven in that stretch, and cars have been parked over there, and I'm not talking about where the Ladybug is, but cars have been parked down. I used to play basketball down at that basketball court. We parked on Davison and went and hooped, right? That was a long time ago. Back, I pulled my horse up there, right? But that was, that street can accommodate traffic and that. Now it's on the corner. We need to pull back from the corner so so our Commissioner Lewis can make her turn on Potowski. But I don't understand why there's not parking, because we can come right downtown and you can park in a spot one day, and the next day there's a sign up, this is valet parking only. So I don't know, so we've got a business and we've got some citizens, and both of their needs should be met by the city. And the way that I don't understand why we can't park on Davison is one thing. Mm-hmm. And if there's a rule, I know there have been exceptions to that rule all over the city.
Through the chair to Commissioner Russell, that's actually not a city-controlled road.
Okay.
So that would be MDOT that would make those decisions, that would...
Right. And so here we go. MDOT is a state road, is a city road. There have been exceptions to those rules all the time. On Livernois, there's, we've gone down to 1 lane of traffic, right? And so what I'm saying is I'm not proposing an answer, but there's a way to solve the problem other than what I think we've been talking about here. And I would like us to help investigate how to do that, right? So that was one thing. I was hoping that was land bank line to the left, to the west. And then for me, it would be helpful that the next one, if we had some pictures from someone standing in the alley, looking around what was there, what garages were operational, what was going on in that alley, so we could better understand the concerns of the citizens that are adjacent to the property.
Through the chair, I can send many more pictures to you.
Yeah, and then I was specific, because I'm a little slow, right? Somebody standing in the alley, looking north, looking south, looking east, looking west, and then it would help me, like I'm going through Google Earth. It would help me understand that back behind there.
Yes.
if that's possible.
Through the chair, I do have those, and I will.
Excellent.
They are not ones with vehicles in them.
Well, I'm not, I'm
vehicles.
just
Okay.
looking for the structures that
Yes,
are there.
and I
It
have
doesn't have to
some-
be an example of someone parking in the alley, right?
Show you, I do have at least 2 or 3 in this, or one in the slideshow. I apologize.
Ms. Wade, and that's fine. It just
Okay.
for next term, we
Yep.
don't have to pop it up now.
But we do have some. We were just
Supplied us with a lot of information. And
Hold on 1 second. I'll call you when you get a chance. Okay?
and then Ms. Wade, the meeting that you attended at Russell Woods, their meeting, how many people were in attendance? And then was this, I know you probably said it, but I didn't hear it. What was the garden bug discussed?
through the chair. The garden bug was not discussed. It wasn't on the agenda. I spoke to the president as well as a few other people, got some of the public hearing notices out, and then the president subsequently email blasted the public hearing notice.
But the community group that's in that neighborhood back in 2019, the garden bug met with that group. Is
Through
that correct?
Through the chair to Commissioner Russell, that is the same group. They did meet back when this was starting. They said they have not heard anything since.
Okay. But
As
they
the project
reached
has
out at the
progressed and
beginning.
kind of evolved.
Okay. And then it would be nice to know their dates of their meetings, if they have that. And I know
Okay.
there's some extra work, but if we could get that.
Oh,
Right?
I believe Commissioner Lewis may be able to help
Okay,
to
well,
provide
there we go.
those.
There we go.
Go ahead,
And
Commissioner.
then the other thing, and I want to say this. So I live on the west side, right? And I live right around the corner from Garden Bug 1, right? Now, Garden Bug 1 is an asset to our community. And we have had no problems. And it is as described by the applicant. It's open. For some of us who plant late, it's not open long enough, right? It's May to whatever it was. And on a Saturday or Sunday, there's some people there. But on the most part, it's not like a party store, right? And most of the year, there's no traffic. But when it is open, it's beautiful. The little plants on the thing, it brightens up Grand River, right? In the spring, summer, and in the fall, and at Christmas time, it's an asset, right? Now, true enough, just like anything, it's good and it's bad. There's some serious problems that need to be addressed, right? And we need to address them, even if we got a problem, and we justified with the problem that we got. We have to be respectful of one another so that we can resolve the problem, right? Because the main thing is, nobody wants to shut the garden bug down, and certainly nobody wants to stop anybody from coming and going out their house. So we need to figure out how to do that, and the city needs to put its resources and its creative hat on to help alleviate that problem. Because you see all the time, there's loading zone. You can pull up to a fire station that you used to park in front of, but you can't park there now because it's valet. Somebody's making some money off that city street, right? So there are some exceptions the city could do. Thank you, Ms. Sway, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Russell. Commissioner Lewis?
I was just going to say the Russellwood Sullivan Area Association meets every first Wednesday of every month except December, January.
Okay, thank you. And I see Miss Filson. I see two hands raised. I see a Mona and a Miss Filson. Is that a new hand for Miss Filson?
Yes,
Yep.
I just,
Go ahead.
through the chair to Commissioner Russell, I just wanted to indicate that per the zoning ordinance, we can't count on street parking. But we can count the parking that's on the parcel, and that's the only parking we can count. And there may be, unless there's some signs indicated on Davison, customers can park on Davison, but we just can't count it toward the calculation of required parking that's needed.
Thank you, and that I understand exactly what you're saying. That as far as once they submit the plans through BC, that you can't count the off-street parking as part of their parking requirement, right? But somewhere, and I might be mistaken, I got the idea that somebody said you couldn't park on Davison. And I think parking on Davison and loading on Davison, if that's possible, would help in solving the problem of customers parking in the alley, right? And it's customers parking in the alley. It's not the store of people parking in the alley, right? You know, and you can have a place and people that are patronizing might do some crazy things. It's not the establishment, but the establishment needs to be sensitive to their neighbors and a good neighbor and help with that. But it's not them that are blocking their neighbors in. So that's why I was talking about that parking. And the other thing is, and I forgot to ask this, you know, we did a rezoning on Plymouth or something, and we changed that zoning for a long stretch to B2. And the reason that we changed it, and Plymouth, I think it was Plymouth, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, it was a much smaller width than what Davison is now, but you suggested the downzoning to B2 because it was, that zoning classification was for neighborhood businesses, all right? And I'm bringing this up when we talked about spot zoning, right? Because this body does not review your parking and your site layout, right? Body is here to protect the citizens, the business and residents, but we're here to decide if that zoning classification fits in that area. And B2 lets businesses, the scale of businesses that are neighborhood friendly, come into. So, you know, as we discuss this, to me, and it's just my opinion, B2 is a complementary zone in that area, right? But when we get into the specifics of the site, we want to make sure that that site is not adversely affecting others. But we don't need to review. It's nice to see, and it's helpful, but we don't need to review your site, if I'm correct. Maybe I'm. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Todd or Ms. Swed?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As we draw to the end of this, certainly we're looking for some specific direction from you with regard to some of your concerns, things that you want to ensure that staff comes back to you with. Some of them we've already heard. Given this particular discussion and the jurisdiction of Davison with MDOT, and recognizing the history that we've all alluded to, like with Mr. Russell, played basketball up there, and certainly do remember. But by that time, of course, I had a scooter, not a horse. But parking has been allowed both sides of Davison for, I would say, probably from Broad Street almost all the way, probably to Woodrow Wilson. And we've seen that change over the years, and maybe again in certain spots was not allowed given certain activities. But because of the commercial businesses that were there, along with the residential that were on that stretch, we've also seen, the streetscape itself change. Medians added, medians taken out. And what I'm thinking back to and reminded of is that this was originally intended, of course, to be an extension of the Davison Freeway to connect it to 96. And there were two instances wherein the state was pursuing that, and thankfully that was given up upon. But I think it has left that stretch of Davison sort of in limbo to an extent, and of course it has experienced disinvestment. What I'm getting at is, since you mentioned Grand River, and of course the petitioner having her other business there, the community did enter into a planning effort, streetscaping effort with MDOT to come up with what is currently there. Maybe we can see if what MDOT is thinking here along Davison that would certainly benefit every resident. And in fact, if they are no longer looking to make that freeway connection, again, could maybe work with the city to now provide a proper streetscaping, a proper redesign that can, again, as with Gratiot, as with Michigan Avenue, Grand River, and other stretches of road that are under MDOT's jurisdiction, we can actually come up with something that will be a benefit that can properly meet the traffic needs, and again, the various user needs as they abut the corridor. So if you want to request that, we'd be happy to do it.
I would like to request that.
To the chair, go right ahead. And side note, who owns Livernois? Is that city or MDOT?
Livernois is city.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to add before we close this item?
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Sweat.
Through the chair, Mona Ali is on. Originally, she had started working with the petitioner as a member of the the staff for the Department of Neighborhoods at the time, I believe, and she may be able to address some of the community engagement and other things like that if we have time.
Yep, go right ahead. Welcome, Ms. Ali. Whenever you're ready.
Good evening. Just real quick, I know we're closing out, but at the time, and hello everyone, when Ms. Castleberry first initiated this process, I was a district manager in 7. We did have her both on our District 7 district-wide meetings talking about the plan, and it was pretty well received. And then also I was there in person when she did present to the Russell Woods group at that time. Logistics like parking and things weren't discussed just because it was so early on, but it was all positive remarks. Everyone in the neighborhood was really excited to see it coming along. So I'm pretty confident that if these parking issues are resolved, there won't be other issues that arise. Everybody was just waiting to see when they would be opening up. So I just wanted to make sure to throw that in there as well. I know that they probably haven't gotten an update since, but when I was there, we were pretty confident that there wouldn't have been any issues.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ali.
You're welcome.
All right. Do we have any comments of staff or the petitioner? Okay. Ms. Sweat, can you give us a really high-level kind of next steps and what we can expect over the next couple meetings?
Yes, through the chair. Our plan is to go and do the research, answer the questions that have been requested of us, and we would like to bring this back before you with any additional information, including additional engagement that's done with the community in a few meetings. We don't have a exact meeting.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Good with this item? No, we know what, okay. So we're good here. So we'll see when.
Again, Mr. Chair, as I said, if there's specific questions that you want us to address, that's the only other thing Ms. Sweat and I were looking for. We want to make sure that when we leave the table, we know exactly what you want us to cover.
Okay. Do we have any specific questions, Commissioner Daniels?
I agree with colleague, having MDOT look at it and see if there's something that can be done over on Davidson. We may want to look at, as a sidebar, if they got some horse parking over there where we could probably use in case somebody come over there with a horse.
I think we have to permit that use somewhere in the ordinance. And then if I could also add, if staff could just look into the B2 along that, bookend to bookend.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Lewis, did you have any specific comments that you wanted to give to staff?
I would, again, my comment is as to the quality of life on that corner, and I would like to understand the best way to ensure that the residents, including myself, and by the way, you've got too many semi-trucks coming down Davison. The Davison is full of semis, and the traffic's going 50, 60 miles an hour. That is the corridor from I-96 to I-75. And that's why, even if parking is allowed on Davison, no one parks on Davison. It's too dangerous. It's just way too dangerous to try to switch lanes to get around a car on Davison. My main concern is that the parking, as relates to allowing the residents to freely move about their properties, is solid for them. And again, if it calls for an opaque wall to try to get the customers not to believe that the alley is where they need to park, that I would just like to see something that stops that. And if that can't be stopped, I don't know why we would even change the zoning.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Lewis.
Regarding Davidson, they do park Saturday and Sunday at both churches. So if you come that way, Saturday or Sunday, if there's a wedding, a funeral, or church service, they're parked there every Sunday and every Saturday evening. In Bible study on Wednesday, we have photographs of at least 40 cars parked on Davidson. So that is not true. They do park on Davidson. And GPD said they do park on Davidson. He said Wacoma.
Right, but that's Sunday. Wednesday evening is not a business. It is not business hours between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. There are 50,000 cars or more running down Davison with semi-trucks. When someone parks their car on Davison and Petoskey, and someone is running down Davison at 40 miles an hour, and now all of a sudden you've got to change lanes, that is too dangerous. They may allow it. You are correct. On Sunday, no one's on Davison, but Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, to park on Davison is not only dangerous for the person parking their car, is dangerous for pedestrians and drivers. That is all I'm saying.
Thank you, Commissioner Lewis. Commissioner Russell.
So I think Commissioner Lewis has a valid point, and I think that Director Todd's suggestion with MDOT, because, what I'm thinking of is when you make that bend right over there as you pass in Illinois, people are traveling way too fast, and that is not a resident problem, or the residents aren't causing it, the garden bug's not causing it, but that traffic should be slowed down, right? And that, I see it as a separate issue, but I thought that was very insightful of Director Todd, that MDOT, and that they slow down so that it is safe for pedestrians and it's safe to park your car. That's what it needs to be.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you, Commissioner Russell. Commissioner Bennett.
Two additional points. In the short term, the Davison, I wouldn't park on Davison. Get out of my drive. But now even more so for the next couple of years, 696 is closed, and that's the east one, so that's more traffic as well. But I would also support of talking to MDOT about looking at streetscape or something. Given the proximity to Joe Louis Greenway as well, it's not too far, so that could be an opportunity increasing walkability in a long-term sense, but something that I also support looking into. But yeah, Davison is, it's a death trap, in my opinion, for a pedestrian.
And I would think most residents or guests of this space probably know how dangerous it is to park on Davison, which is why they're going around and going to the back of the alley. Because they can park on Davison, but they know it's not the best place to park. And I don't think we're saying don't park on Davison. You know, I think that option is there, and if people want to do it, they can do it. But I think the requirement of the zoning ordinance is that these businesses all can provide their own parking access, X, Y, and Z. And I think that's the core of what we're trying to get at. It just needs to be provided so it lessens that burden on the surrounding properties. Ms. Sweat.
Mr. Chair, we do need to get clarification as to whether it's actually legal to park on Davison or not, because we have gotten conflicting answers, but from the answers that I received today, they do not, that it is not allowed, but we will look further into that. Regardless, I would like to point out again that the street parking cannot count towards any required parking.
Right. And just to echo those points, also our responsibility isn't necessarily to count parking too. So that's just me speaking to my commissioners, and they know that. I'm just saying it for the public. You know, our primary concern is the zoning, and does the zoning make sense? And ultimately, if we permit B2 in that area, how will that affect parking for everybody? You know, will everybody have to utilize the alley for access and parking? And those things we don't know until those projects come. But we're charged with determining if the B2 district is an appropriate district for that piece of land.
Right, and through the chair, if we were to look at, and we are going to do an analysis if that should be extended, you should keep in mind that each business would be required to follow the regulations for the parking spots that they are required to have, which should clear a lot of that congestion for the parking up for those additional parcels if that were to be extended.
Okay. And then my last thing, I know we've been talking about this for a while, but I'll close out with, in addition to the parking on Jefferson, can you see if loading is allowed on Jefferson? Not Jefferson, I don't know why. We're on Jefferson. If loading is allowed on Davison and unloading, can you just check on that too?
Yes, through the chair, I believe Director Filson did address that and said it is not.
It is not. Okay.
But they do have on the site plan, and that was something that I had discussed with BC earlier, and I will get confirmation that they are allowed to have, and I believe that Director Filson addressed that as well.
Alley.
That the alley can have loading and unloading for very short amounts of time, especially for their large vehicles that need to unload for their stock. But beyond that, the alley cannot be used for anything else. And Davison, from what BC told me today as well, the Davison is not someplace that parking is permitted.
Okay. All right. Thank you. With that, I will close this item, and we'll see it come back at a subsequent meeting. Thank you for coming this evening, and thanks for bringing your team and just sharing with us this project. Wish the best, and we look forward to seeing you come back. Thank you. All right, moving forward, we are now at the public comment portion of the agenda, and this is similar to our public hearings, an opportunity for the public to speak really on any items or topics related to the agenda or unrelated to the agenda. We take public comments in the similar fashion that we do the public hearings, so if you are virtual, you can raise your hand, and we'll call on you that way. And if you are here in person, we again request that you get a yellow staff card and get it to the front. Ms. Perales, are you checking the virtual Zoom for us?
Yes, I am, Mr. Chair.
All right. Do we have any virtual hands?
At this time, we do not have any hands raised.
Okay. And I do not have any public comment cards for here in person. I do want to, yeah, just give me one. I just want to acknowledge. To close it? Oh, to get him to move? No, we'll let him. Okay. All right, so we will keep going. I do want to acknowledge our ombudsman in the room. Thank you. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you always showing up. Do we have any virtual? I think I asked virtual. We don't have any virtual.
Mr. Chair, there are no virtual hands raised.
All right, and I do not have any in-person cards, so I will close the public comment portion of the agenda. Director Todd, do we have any unfinished business?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, there's none.
Do we have any new business?
There is none.
Do we have any committee reports?
There are no committee reports.
Do we have any staff reports?
The only item that I wanted to share with you, there were a couple things. The only item I will share with you, again, by way of following up on the capital agenda. We are getting some responses in from the questions that Commission raised. Some of those questions were also raised by council members. The council did vote to approve the matter back on a week ago, Tuesday, and we are expecting that the administration will be producing a updated copy to reflect all of the outstanding issues that were requested of council, as well as some of those, again, that came from commissioners that matched the council request. But again, we do expect to have some of the answers to the related questions, and we'll be providing that to you at an upcoming meeting. To the extent that you may want to have further dialogue with any of those agencies, please just let us know, and we will try to get them to come in, as we do recognize that some of these issues, such as the city airport, Commission has not had a presentation on city airport in years, and the project is underway. So the Commission, while it is not directly under your purview per se, in terms of a zoning requirement at this time, certainly we think that the Commission and the viewing public would benefit from having a presentation. That is one thing that we've mentioned. Also, as it concerns DDOT, we had attempted to get a presentation from DDOT under its previous director of the DDOT plan. Just as there is a recreation master plan, there is a transportation plan, an improved DDOT plan, and we're trying to get a presentation of that to you as well, as City Council did, after a few years, finally formally endorse the plan this past Tuesday. So that brief update, again, we'll provide more and hopefully have a written report for you at your next meeting, updating you on a number of things that have gone through the Commission and made their way to City Council, and some of those other things that will be making their way to the Commission.
Okay, thank you. And
Thank
if
you.
you could also take to MDOT, there was the project we did for the landing area for the bridge, and the big giant wall. I'm trying to remember. It was the community agreement, and then they came to us, and that was a whole thing. But I think that's Fort Street that they're on. I think that's Fort. And one of the things that we asked MDOT to share, if they had any plan, is this ringing any bells? I'm trying to remember the exact name of the project. It was at the transport on Fort Street. I just can't remember the exact name.
Chair, you're referring to the rezoning that came before you, that was the result of the community engagement between the bridge,
Yes.
community, and the city, yes.
Yes. And in that conversation, we talked about Fort Street because there was supposed to be some improvements about this around the sidewalk, but the Fort Street wasn't included in their project. And the question was, does MDOT, do they have any plans to do anything along Fort Street, in particular that stretch? So if you could just ask them when they do come and present something, MDOT or DDOT or whoever operates that land, if they could just give some insight.
Certainly, and yes, sir, it is under MDOT's jurisdiction, and we can certainly raise those questions, and we can also see what the status is of the related project.
Thank you. All right, that was staff reports. Do we have any member reports? No one's doing anything super fantastic? No traveling? What you got? Congratulations. Hey. I had a feeling, I knew it was some good news somewhere up here. All right, thank you for that. Do we have any communications, Director Todd?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, there's none.
All right, with that, it is 8:41 and I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.